Chapter 505. Tsunade was dissatisfied. Are you threatening me? Samui shook his head. Sorry, I'm just stating a fact. If I accidentally offended you, please forgive me. Kakashi-sensei. Sakura looked to the side for help. Kakashi was helpless and lowered his voice. Sasuke is a defected ninja. According to the convention, he should be executed. It's only because of Tsunade-sama's suppression that the situation didn't spread. Shikamaru comforted them in a low voice. What are you worried about? The current Sasuke is different from when he first defected. Didn't you hear Yunin's people say that their sensei was captured by Sasuke? If I'm not wrong, their sensei should be the Hachibi Jinchuriki of Yunin. He's one of the strongest in the entire shinobi world. To be able to defeat him, Sasuke's strength is no worse than yours now. If you want to execute Sasuke, Raikage will have to do it himself. Naruto and Sakura heard it. As long as Sasuke doesn't run to Raikage, ordinary ninjas won't be able to catch him. Thinking of this, the two suddenly relaxed a lot. While Tsunade was still hesitating, Danzo's indifferent voice suddenly came from outside the door. Why are you still hesitating? Leaving the defected ninja alone has already shamed Woodleaf. Tsunade frowned slightly. Danzo-sensei, I don't think I asked you to come, right? Woodleaf isn't your only Woodleaf. Danzo snorted coldly. This is all of our home. Of course, I can't watch it be destroyed in your hands. Tsunade's face became cold. Danzo-sensei, pay attention to your words. Danzo looked at her coldly. What? Did I say something wrong? Shizun couldn't help but ridicule. Since Woodleaf is all of our home, why didn't you come out to resist when Pain attacked? What do you know? I was planning to guard Woodleaf's last sensei, but I accidentally came out too late. Before he finished, Fukasaku-sensei rebuked. You said guarding the sensei is killing your own people? Toad Yusuke was killed by you. Isn't this old man doing this for Woodleaf? The Kyuubi's Jinchuriki is an important treasure of the village. We must not let Akatsuki take it away. Danzo paused and continued. For this reason, some sacrifices are inevitable. Fukasaku was so angry that he laughed. Then why aren't you the one to sacrifice yourself? Didn't you hear what I said? How can an important person like this old man only have a few? Danzo said with an unhappy expression. Everyone was defeated by Danzo's shamelessness. Was he the only one who had the final say? Following behind Danzo, Tsurugi and the others were a little worried. Why do they feel that Danzo-sama suddenly let himself go? With Danzo-sama's steadiness, he shouldn't be so high profile, right? Could it be that he felt that victory was already in his hands? Fukasaku-sensei asked with a black face. Then tell me, if it weren't for Garashi-sama saving Woodleaf, when would you have come out to sacrifice yourself? Samui, who was watching the show, noticed that when the old toad spoke, he glanced at the person she first noticed. She was secretly surprised. Was he the one who defeated the Akatsuki's leader and saved Woodleaf? Since it's too late to come out, then I won't come out. Danzo said, the most important thing is to keep this old man's useful body and rebuild Woodleaf. Ryoma and the others stared at him. Did Danzo-sama drink before coming here? He's too straightforward. Even Fukasaku was confused. He couldn't tell whether Danzo was really stupid or just pretending to be stupid. Well, don't talk nonsense. Danzo looked at Tsunade and said, Tsunade, I don't think you're suitable to be Naruto anymore. Because of Danzo's shocking statement, the crowd didn't have much of a reaction for a while. Tsunade asked calmly. Reason. Danzo said, first, you perverted the law, condoned the rebellion, and inexplicably surprised your friends. Samui and the others were a little moved. They didn't expect that in the eyes of Danzo, Yunin's position was so important. Secondly, you're too confident. If it weren't for your arrogant attitude that angered Pain, he wouldn't have slaughtered the entire village. Although everyone was resurrected afterward, that's not a reason for you to shirk your responsibility. Samui and the others were shocked. Could it be that Woodleaf's resurrection was true? Thinking of this, they couldn't help but ask, wait, you said resurrection? Don't be noisy, I haven't finished yet. Danzo said impatiently. Third, Hiruzen was soft-hearted and let go of Orochimaru. As a result, Woodleaf was harmed. And you didn't stop Jiraiya from accepting outsiders as his disciples. As a result, Woodleaf was almost destroyed. Weak people like you are not suitable to be Naruto. Samui was angry. What happened to being friends? Why aren't you afraid of being surprised? Before Tsunade could speak, Naruto was angry. You bastard. Danzo sneered. What? Did I poke your sore spot? If it weren't for Jiraiya's death, he should be put on trial for teaching the leader of the Akatsuki. Enough. Tsunade smashed the table in front of her. You said so much just to make yourself Naruto. Yes. Danzo admitted bluntly, in this turbulent era, no one is more suitable to be Naruto than me. Tsunade couldn't help but mock. If Naruto is judged by the thickness of his face, you are indeed more suitable. Danzo calmly accepted the compliment. You can see this clearly, it means you can still be saved. Instead of arguing and making a fool of ourselves, Danzo smiled, it's better to find a notary who can convince everyone to make a judgment. In my opinion, Garashi-sama is very suitable. Everyone was shocked. Whether it was from Garashi's performance or Mizuki's description, Garashi should be close to their side. And since Danzo said it with such confidence, could it be that he used some kind of trick on Shueisha? Samui and the others were even more shocked. Letting an outsider intervene in Naruto's fate, and no one objected, who is this man? Tsunade's face was a little gloomy but she still said, okay, I agree. Ah. Danzo laughed loudly, as expected of Tsunade, this courage is enough to make most people feel ashamed of their inferiority. Garashi-sama, tell everyone your answer. Garashi pretended to ponder for a moment. When the enemy invades, is there really a comparison between a warrior who dares to face the enemy and a coward who hides underground? Did you hear that? Garashi-sama said a warrior and a coward. Danzo's laughter came to an abrupt end and he looked back at Garashi in disbelief. Why? Garashi smiled. Danzo-san, you don't think that Koto Amatsukumi's genjutsu will work on me, right? By the way, don't you feel that something is missing from your right eye? Danzo touched his right eye in shock. Where is my eye? Chapter 506. Your eye? Garashi chuckled and took out one of Danzo's eyes. I don't know when Danzo-san became an Uchiha clan member. Looking at the bloody eye in Garashi's hand, everyone was stunned for a moment, then they shouted angrily. Danzo, how dare you attack Garashi-sama? By sacrifice you mean sacrificing your benefactor for your own sake? The Uchiha clan is already dead and transplanting the eyes of a dead person is not a taboo. After all, Woodleaf even experimented on the body of first daimyo Naruto, not to mention the Uchiha who couldn't even make a sound of protest. What really crossed the line was that Danzo dared to attack Woodleaf's benefactor. What made them even more afraid was Garashi's identity, and if they angered him, it may cause terrible consequences. Samui and the other two were also secretly shocked, even they have heard of Uchiha Shirsue's strongest genjutsu. It is said that genjutsu can directly invade the opponent's mind without them noticing, and freely modify the opponent's will. It is the strongest genjutsu in the legends. But such a powerful genjutsu was broken by the other party, and Shimura Danzo, the famous dark shinobi of the shinobi world, didn't even notice that his eyes were dug out. Just thinking about it is terrifying. At this time, Danzo also calmed down and defended himself. Although this old man has Shirsue's eyes, it doesn't mean anything if I use Shirsue's dojutsu on him. Would his attitude be like this? Danzo even believed his own words and said bitterly, you would rather believe an outsider than an old man who has worked hard for Konoha? Everyone curled their lips and thought, who would believe you? Although they didn't believe Danzo, the situation in front of them still made them feel troubled. Danzo's previous dirty deeds aside, this time he offended Garashi-sama, he must be punished. But the problem is that Garashi's identity can't be easily exposed, and without evidence, the punishment for Danzo won't be too high. Although they can also forcibly execute Danzo, the consequence of doing so is to plant a thorn in the hearts of many villagers, making them think that they are abusing their power to avenge private grudges. In short, it was very troublesome. In this subtle atmosphere, Garashi smiled and said, Elder Danzo, do you insist that what happened last night was just a misunderstanding? Danzo coldly snorted. You're too sensitive. Hurry up and give me back my eyes. This is a gift left to me by a subordinate whom I cared for. Don't worry, since Elder Danzo thinks that it is my fault, why don't we verify it? Garashi said with a smile. Verification. How are you going to verify? Danzo frowned, then his expression suddenly changed. Why can't this old man move? What did you do to me? Elder Danzo, didn't you say that no one understands you? So, I deliberately helped you open your heart and let everyone see your inner heart. It's just that I'm worried that Elder Danzo will be shy, so I'll have to trouble you to be quiet for the time being. Garashi said with a smile. However, Garashi's gentle smile was similar to a devil's grin in Danzo's eyes. This bastard actually wanted to expose his privacy, exposing all the secrets he had hidden in the dark. Seems very interesting. Woodleaf and the others looked at Danzo with curious eyes. They also want to know what the Umbu of the shinobi world, who is famous for being tough and decisive, is thinking. Is it really for Konoha as he said? As for Garashi being able to silently control Danzo, they weren't surprised. Compared to the scene described by Mizuki last night, this is not worth mentioning. The problem is that Samui and the others didn't know that at this moment, seeing Danzo being controlled, their hearts were violently shaken. Ryoma and the others wanted to step forward to stop this, but their bodies seemed to be separated from their minds. Except for their mouths, they couldn't move at all. Damn it, why can't I move? Is this how he controlled Danzo-sama? Seeing this, Samui and the others were even more shocked. They have already raised their vigilance this time, but they still couldn't figure out how this man did it. Even if it's a ninjutsu without seals, it should have chakra's fluctuations. Samui thought, such a powerful ninja, but there is no record of him in the intelligence. I must take this opportunity to fill in the gaps in the intelligence. No, you can't do this. Danzo didn't care about the others, he just struggled and shouted. Elder Danzo, don't worry, soon everyone will understand you. Don't say it, I did it. Danzo said with hatred. He would rather die than expose some shameful memories in front of others. For example, when Hiruzen said he was going to be bait, he was so ashamed that he felt relieved. For example, after Hiruzen sacrificed himself in the incident 3 years ago, he actually regretted it. And then there was Hiruzen. Wait, why am I comparing myself to Hiruzen now? Thinking of this, Danzo was even more afraid. Danzo-sama, are you being controlled by that guy? Ryoma asked anxiously. However, Danzo didn't pay attention to him at all, he just stared at Garashi. Orochimaru's plan to destroy Wood Leaf was driven by me, the Uchiha's destruction was influenced by me, and even the Akatsuki's downfall was caused by me. Is that enough? In order to save his last bit of face, he couldn't care less. What? You were the one who drove the plan to destroy Wood Leaf? Tsunade was shocked. Yes, this old man just wanted to force Hiruzen to abdicate. I didn't expect him to be so decisive. Danzo said calmly. You bastard, you killed Sandaime-san. Naruto stared at him. Danzo didn't care and sneered. Do you think Hiruzen really cares about you? His wife was killed when she delivered Uzumaki Shina Kushina. As long as he sees your face, he will remember the tragedy of his death at Biwako Lake. What? Naruto muttered to himself. Sandaime-san's wife died because of me? Enough, seal him and take him away. There were outsiders present. Tsunade didn't want Danzo to lose Wood Leaf's face, so she hurriedly ordered. However, she was still too late. Samui and the other two didn't hide the contempt in their eyes. The noble circle is really messy. Compared to Yunin's unity, Wood Leaf is really bad. Wood Leaf can still maintain this level, it can only be said that it's fate that allows geniuses to be born in Wood Leaf. The troublemaker is gone, let's return to the topic. Tsunade said seriously. As for Raikage's request, I will give an answer at the 5 Kage summit. Although they weren't satisfied with Tsunade's answer, they also knew that Naruto's decision won't change because of them. Then I'll have to trouble you, Naruto-sama. But there is one thing I hope Wood Leaf can help me with. Samui took out a small book from his pocket. Anything related to Uchiha Sasuke, his personality, his ninjutsu, and his interpersonal skills, please tell us as much as you can. Tsunade couldn't refuse this point. I will let Sakura Naruto tell you about Sasuke. Thank you, Naruto-sama. Samui answered calmly, but his mind was thinking about other things. Now we can stay for a few more days and take advantage of these few days to find out what happened on the day the leader of the Akatsuki attacked Wood Leaf, and who is that man. P.S. Sorry I overestimated myself. I still can't adjust my mentality. That's all for today. I'll definitely adjust it tomorrow. I still have to get vaccinated tomorrow morning. Can I travel far after getting vaccinated? I was thinking about whether I should go home, but I heard that I have to rest for a few days after that. Chapter 507. While Raikage was shouting about the 5 Kages meeting, in the inner sea of the Rain Country, a battle was taking place. Boom, terrible fireworks exploded on the sea, but the explosion only lasted for a moment, and then it was sucked in by a space vortex. In the center of the explosion, the masked man with a broken arm calmly fell on the sea. After all, you're an elder of the Akatsuki, I really can't underestimate you. Obito's clothes were tattered, but he pretended to be relaxed and said, Unfortunately, your explosion failed in the end, and I only suffered some minor injuries. Conan pursed his lips and didn't comment on Bordered Soil's description of a broken arm. In any case, I won't give you Nagato's eyes, this is the last memory he left me. Nagato's eyes? Why do you think he can awaken Rinnegan as an Uzumaki? Of course it's because it's my eyes. Bordered Soil shook his head slightly and slowly clenched his remaining hand. What I'm doing now is just taking back what belongs to me. Your eyes? Conan was shocked and immediately stared at him. In other words, Nagato's childhood tragedy was caused by you. Bordered Soil laughed. No, 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 I'm just a catalyst. The real cause of all this is the world. Conan took a deep breath. Originally, I just wanted to protect Nagato's eyes, but now it seems that I have a reason to kill you. Kill me? Just with those explosive talismans of yours? Bordered Soil said contemptuously. It's a good idea to mix explosive tags in your paper ninjutsu, but unfortunately the number is too small. Not enough. What about these? Conan said loudly and opened his hands. With her movement, the sea under her body also separated. At this time, Bordered Soil noticed that the sea under their feet was actually a paper camouflage. Under the exquisite camouflage of God's paper, even his Sharingan couldn't see any flaws. What? These are? Here are 600 billion explosive tags, enough to explode continuously for 10 minutes. Now go to hell. On average, 1 billion explosive talismans would explode every second. The terrifying energy waves almost ignited the sea. The surrounding sea was also a sea of fire. The heat waves radiated out from the shock waves to the surrounding sea for dozens of kilometers. Even though the two of them were standing on the shore, they could still feel the blazing aura. Even the air they breathed into their lungs felt like it was burning. Aizen sighed softly. What a magnificent scene. Conan nodded. After all, there are 600 billion explosive tags. She also wanted to play like this. Aizen joked. 600 billion explosive talismans. Xiaonan, you're really rich in this universe. If Kaku knew about this, he would probably be the first one. Speaking of which, you're not that rich, are you? Conan's face turned red. How can I have so much money? At most, when we were preparing for war, we used a little bit of our funds to buy explosive tags. Explosive tags play a great role in war. Akatsuki is the public enemy of the shinobi world. Isn't it reasonable to buy more? Aizen smiled and nodded. It's very reasonable, but how much is this little bit? Conan's eyes drifted. In short, it's not as much as Danon. Danon? It's strange to always call her parallel world. She's older than me, so of course it's Danon. After saying that, Conan quickly changed the topic. Uncle, didn't you want to use Bordered Soil to lure Black Zetsu out? If you don't act now, Bordered Soil will be killed by Danon. Don't underestimate him too much. Aizen looked at the sea calmly. Bordered Soil can play the shinobi world, so he has the means and ability to do so. Conan was surprised. His virtual state should only last for 5 minutes, right? How can he survive this kind of attack? Aizen smiled. Watch carefully, it's your turn soon. On the sea, the waves of the explosion lasted for 10 minutes. When the storm subsided, Conan knelt on the sea weakly, gasping for breath. The god of paper's ninjutsu was lifted. I didn't expect to use so much chakra. Fortunately, I finally killed Madara. Suddenly, a sword pierced her lower abdomen. You said I died? Hearing the voice behind her, Conan looked down at the bloody sword and muttered to herself, How is it possible? You should be dead without a doubt. Yes, I did die once, but unfortunately, I used Izanagi to live again. Bordered Soil shook his head and sighed. You forced me to use Izanagi. I really underestimated you. Conan coughed up blood and her consciousness gradually blurred. I'm sorry, Nagato, I still couldn't avenge you. Don't rush to die. Tell me where you hid Nagato's body. Bordered Soil said and was about to turn Conan around and use genjutsu to control him. But at that moment, a sword pierced his lower abdomen. Cough. Bordered Soil groaned and looked back in disbelief, only to see Conan piercing his body in the same posture. How is it possible? I understand. Bordered Soil was stunned for a moment, but soon she realized what happened. While coughing blood, she gritted her teeth and said, What a good plan, you used your body as bait to lure me out, and then used a paper clone to attack me from behind. Conan, I didn't expect you to be the one who hid the deepest in the Akatsuki. You. Conan, who was already unconscious, heard Bordered Soil's words and thought that he was mocking him. His anger triggered his injury, and he fainted before he could finish a word. Noticing this, Obito was shocked. Although the doppelganger had self-awareness, if the main body was seriously injured and unconscious, the doppelganger should also disappear, but the aura of the person behind him did not change at all. Is it the transformation technique? Bordered Soil struggled to turn around again, wanting to confirm the other party's condition. The corners of Xiaonan's mouth curled up slightly. Do you think I'm someone else pretending to be you? Don't worry, I don't have a hobby like you. Bordered Soil was shocked and couldn't care less about Conan's identity. He blurted out, "What do you mean? Did I say something wrong?" Conan looked at him with a smile. "Uchiha Bordered Soil, San who claims to be Uchiha Madara. You. This time, Obito also fainted. At the same time Aizen, who was on the shore, looked in a certain direction and smiled. Finally can't help it? Xiao Hei's hiding ability could even fool the Six Paths. Even if he took the initiative, it wouldn't be easy to find Xiao Hei. Unless Xiao Hei exposed himself. Chapter 508. In the distance, Black Zetsu drilled his head out of the ground and looked at the changes in the sea. He sighed. Obito is a waste. He has Mangekyo and Mokutan. He even used his Izanagi, but he still lost to Conan. It seems that I have to do it myself. Since he became Madara's consciousness, he was no longer so resistant to appearing in front of others. But just as he was about to climb out of the soil, a gentle greeting came from behind him. Where are you going? Who is it? You actually managed to sneak up behind me without me noticing. Black Zetsu's pupils suddenly shrank, but when he turned around he put on a smile. It's terrible I was discovered. After seeing the appearance of the other party, Black Zetsu was a little surprised. There was no such person in his database. Moreover, he felt a sense of closeness from the other party. If you mean your identity was exposed, it's really bad, Aizen said with a smile. Black Zetsu or Otsutsuki Zetsu? Black Zetsu's heart suddenly set off a storm. Years of hiding and scheming allowed him to barely suppress his shock. At least he didn't show any surprise on his face. He pretended to be calm and asked, Otsutsuki Zetsu? What does that mean? Aizen smiled and leaned against a tree on the shore. Otsutsuki Kagaya, Otsutsuki Hagoromo, Otsutsuki Himura, Infinite Tsukuyomi? Do you want me to continue? Who are you? Black Zetsu's voice trembled. He didn't care about Bordered Soil anymore. Well, I won't tease you anymore. Aizen clapped his hands. My stupid brother. Black Zetsu's eyes were blank and then he was shocked. He asked nervously. Are you Hagoromo or Himura? Aizen scolded. What's the point of mentioning those unfilial sons? Do you really think of them as your brothers? Black Zetsu asked carefully. Then you are. The moment mother was sealed, we were born in her two sleeves. You are in the left sleeve and I am in the right sleeve. Listening to the details of their creation, Black Zetsu subconsciously believed it. After all, not even the Samsara knew about this. Aizen continued, although the two unfilial sons were paying attention to their mother, throwing both of our sleeves at the same time would cause too much of a ruckus. That's why mother threw you to the ground and took me with her. What? You can actually stay by mother's side all this time? Black Jew's heart was sour. Why did he have to hide for 1,000 years, constantly plotting, constantly scheming, never having a day of peace? But Big Brother was able to stay by mother's side and enjoy her earnest teachings. Just thinking about it made him so jealous that he was about to cry. Aizen frowned. You're too narrow-minded. Can't you tell what's more important, temporary companionship and permanent companionship? Both are important. Black Zetsu muttered to himself. By the way, Big Brother, did you use some sort of transformation technique? Why is there such a huge difference between our looks? Although this person who claimed to be his elder brother had revealed a lot of secrets, he would not completely trust him before he presented conclusive evidence. At the very least he had to prove one thing. Why was he a lump of black mud, while his brother was handsome? Why was there such a big gap between them? Aizen looked at him calmly. Because I committed suicide. This is what my soul looks like after reincarnating. What? You committed suicide? Black Zetsu exclaimed. Do you think it's easy to fool them on the moon that's full of logs? Only by abandoning the past, your pride and dignity can you be reborn. Aizen took out a lump of black mud and sighed. This is my predecessor. What do you think? It's very similar to your essence, isn't it? Yes, it's very similar. Black Zetsu had no more doubts and was moved to tears. I didn't expect Big Brother to sacrifice so much for mother. Nonsense, this is your body. Of course it's similar. Aizen thought to himself. This was the part he had taken from Black Zetsu 10 years ago during the Battle of Ghost Lantern City. If he had taken Black Zetsu's body after the Fourth War, it would have been too fresh. Black Zetsu felt guilty. He was jealous that his brother could accompany mother and live comfortably, but now it seemed that his brother had sacrificed as much as he did. After a while, Black Zetsu asked, Big Brother, why did you suddenly come down to find me? Because you're a waste. Aizen snorted coldly. I've already planned for Himura's descendants to kill each other on the moon, leaving only one orphan to attract the attention of the six paths. But what about you? After so long, there's still no hope of success. What? You killed all of the Otsutsuki on the moon? Black Zetsu was shocked. Those Otsutsuki were the prison guards left behind by Himura to guard Mother. If I didn't kill them, how could I open the passage to the ghetto Mazo? Aizen replied. So that's how it is. I thought the seal of the six paths had weakened. While Black Zetsu was shocked, he also admired Aizen. Big brother, you're too strong. You gave up everything and reincarnated, and you killed all the traitors on the moon. Compared to you, I've been living like a dog all these years. Aizen shook his head slightly. It's not entirely your fault. Hagoromo is indeed more difficult to deal with than Himura. I can make Himura fall into the trap of the giant Tensigen, but the same method won't work on Hagoromo. In short, I came down this time to help you. Great. Black Zetsu's heart warmed. He had been fighting alone for a long time and he finally found an ally. He couldn't help but be excited. With Big Brother's help, we can definitely save Mother. Aizen had a kind smile on his face. Of course, the two of us have to do better than those traitors. Speaking of traitors, Black Zetsu's expression changed and he hurriedly said, Big Brother, you may not know much about this world since you just came down. The water in this world is very deep. A few days ago, I met someone suspected to be from the Otsutsuki family. I suspect that they came for Mother. Then he talked about Pain's attack on Konoha, as well as his own analysis all at once. After that, he looked at Aizen expectantly, like a puppy eager to be praised. Big Brother, do you think my analysis is reasonable? Aizen's eyes were strange. This guy's imagination is quite rich. Inexplicably, he added so many scenes to his body, but it seems that this setting is good to use. Chapter 509. However, there was still a flaw in his deception, and that was the problem of parallel spacetime. If Black Zetsu knew about the parallel universe, even if he had preconceived notions, he might be able to connect his brother's body to the parallel universe. Aizen's eyes flashed. Although he could explain the parallel universe, it would be troublesome to explain too much. It was better to use the most direct method, blocking all information. He used genjutsu to affect Black Zetsu's hearing. Whenever Black Zetsu heard about the parallel universe, it would be replaced with irrelevant information. After pondering for a moment, Aizen said with a dignified expression, It is indeed possible. Mother asked me to come down and help you because she thought the main family would come, but I didn't expect them to come so quickly. Aizen patted Black Zetsu's shoulder. Little Zetsu, thank you for reminding me. Otherwise I would have been found by them. Although it was a bit embarrassing to be called Little Jew when he was thousands of years old, Black Jew was still very touched to be able to enjoy the kinship he had always dreamed of. With your ability, even if I didn't warn you, you would have found out sooner or later. Right, bordered soil. Brother, I'll tell you later. There's a chess piece that's important to me that's about to be killed. Heiju said after realizing what was going on. Don't worry. That little girl is one of my people. She won't do anything to him. Aizen comforted. Conan is one of your people? Black Zetsu was surprised. Aizen nodded. I smelled a similar aura to mine on her body, and I learned about the Rinnegan from her. I guessed that the Akatsuki might be related to you, so I asked her to lure out the mastermind. I was wondering how Conan became so powerful. Even bordered soil wasn't her opponent. So it was because of your guidance. Black Zetsu suddenly understood. Let's go back to the previous question. Aizen changed the topic. If those two are really from the main house, why would they be willing to come in contact with mortals? It's really puzzling. Black Zetsu nodded. His mother's memories did mention the main house's arrogance. Could it be that they like to show off in front of the masses? Although most of us are arrogant, there are exceptions. Take those two traitors for example. They actually betrayed their mother for some inferior creatures. Come to think of it, it's not impossible for there to be some different types who like to show off their strength to the mortals. Aizen nodded in satisfaction. It is possible, but there is also the possibility that they are wary of samsara. Black Zetsu had some doubts. That's the Otsutsuki clan that even Mother is afraid of. Why would they care about him? In Black Zetsu's mind, the six paths had to work together with Himura to seal his mother, so he was definitely weaker than his mother. Furthermore, he did not think highly of six paths. Six paths could not even protect his own son. What kind of father was he to Yi Fuqian? Aizen said proudly. You're wrong. Mother isn't afraid of the main family, she's afraid of the entire Otsutsuki family. In fact, after absorbing the energy of this strange planet, Mother's strength has become stronger than most of the Otsutsuki. As expected of Mother Sama. Black Setsu was very excited and praised loudly. Aizen continued. Although the 6 paths and Himura worked together to seal Mother, it's enough to prove his strength. Considering this, it's reasonable for the main family to be cautious. Black Setsu nodded thoughtfully. Then what do we do now? Do we hurry and save Mother? Aizen said. Of course, breaking the seal is important, but we can't rush it. The main target of the 6 paths and the main family is Mother. If she comes out too early, they will target her together. So, my idea is to exhaust their strength as much as possible before saving Mother. Black Setsu said with a heavy heart. But it won't be easy. The main family didn't go against the whole world as soon as they came out, which means they are cautious. 6 paths is even more so. If it weren't for your reminder, I would have thought he was dead. It's too difficult to make such cautious sides fight to the death. Aizen agreed. You're right. So, we need to introduce a variable, a disruptor to the situation. A disruptor? Black Setsu was puzzled. Who is qualified to disrupt their plans? Aizen said word by word. The first person who came to this world with Mother, Otsutsuki Ichiki. Otsutsuki Ichiki? The first Otsutsuki? Black Setsu opened his mouth. His mother didn't mention this in her memories. He was treated differently again, he felt wronged. Seeing this, Aizen knew what Black Setsu was thinking. He comforted him. Don't think too much. Mother's sneak attack on Otsutsuki Ichiki wasn't honorable. Time was tight, so she didn't record it in her memories. I learned it from Otsutsuki Himura. So that's how it is. Black Setsu was happy, and then he said with half admiration and half shame. Brother, you even got rid of that bastard Himura, but I haven't made any progress. It's too bad. Although your ability is a little bit worse, your filial piety is 100 million times better than those 2 bastards. That's the most important thing. Aizen patted his shoulder and said. Yeah. Black Setsu nodded again and again. This was what he was most proud of. By the way, brother, where is this Otsutsuki Ichiki you mentioned? I've been in the ninja world for so many years, but I've never heard of his existence. It's not surprising that you haven't heard of him. It's too easy for such an existence to not be discovered. Even Mother only sensed his aura in recent years. Aizen said. Black Setsu was surprised. Mother can sense the outside world? Aizen said casually. Didn't I tell you? In order to send the Geto Mazo out, I opened a passage outside the seal. Although it's not enough for Mother to come out, it's barely enough for her to sense the outside world. Doesn't this mean that Mother can see me? Black Setsu was full of motivation when he thought that he might be watched by his mother. Aizen continued his analysis. According to my guess, Otsutsuki Ichiki is hiding in a space similar to Mother's Heaven's defense, and the key to connecting that space to the outside world is Nagato's Rinnegan. Chapter 510. Nagato's Rinnegan? Black Setsu was shocked. How is that possible? I've been watching those eyes all this time. No one should be able to do anything to them. Aizen said. It doesn't have to be too troublesome. Just match the frequency of the space when the Rinnegan opens. Psychic space? Black Setsu suddenly woke up and asked. Is it the space where the Shura Path's weapons are located? Aizen nodded and asked. Don't you think it's strange? Chakra also exists in the world he's channeling, and it can make weapons use chakra as the energy source. Black Setsu said dryly. I thought he was connected to another planet under the rule of the main house. Aizen shook his head gently. According to Mother, there are only a few planets with intelligent life in a star area. That's why the chakra fruit is so precious. The ability to cross countless light years and connect to another world isn't something a newly awakened Rinnegan can do. So, the world Nagato is connected to is the space created by Otsutsuki Ichiki? Black Setsu's voice trembled. He was so close to such a dangerous existence and he didn't even know it. It's like a hunter hunting in the jungle, only to see the eyes of a tiger appear behind him. Don't worry, he shouldn't have noticed you. After all, our bodies were made by Mother for privacy. Aizen pretended to analyze. He probably thought that the Rinnegan was driven by the 6 paths. Later, when he found out that the 6 paths weren't involved, he stopped paying attention. Well, I'm not worthy of his attention. Black Setsu nodded again and again. Brother, do you think that the 2 main houses suddenly participated in Pain's attack on Woodleaf because they were aware of the relationship between the Rinnegan and the Otsutsuki Ichiki? Aizen pondered. It's possible, but we can't be sure that he's the one behind that space. Black Setsu was a little confused. From this guy's performance, he should be as cunning as the 6 paths. Would such a person really come out to mess things up like we think? If he doesn't come out, we'll force him out. Aizen narrowed his eyes. Are you going to do something? Black Jew was excited. Big brother, what are you going to do? That person is our senior after all. It's not good to push him too far from the start. My idea is to talk to him about cooperation first. Work with him? Black Jew was a little scared. Big brother, didn't you say he was attacked by Mother? Stupid, only profit is eternal in this world. Aizen said coldly. If he really wanted to take revenge on Mother, why didn't he inform the main family? I don't believe that he doesn't even have the ability to send messages remotely. If I'm not wrong, he probably had the thought of betraying his mother after seeing how powerful she was. He was unwilling to share the secrets of this planet with his family. For such a person, enticing him with benefits is the best way. Black Jew was still worried. But what if you guessed wrong? Won't you never come back? Don't worry, I'll come back. Aizen patted his shoulder. Because the one who's going is you. Black Jew was very touched at first, but when he heard the last part, his legs almost went soft. I'll go? Of course, even the descendants of the Six Paths know how to value the purity of their bloodline, let alone the pure-blooded Otsutsuki. I gave up my own glory so I can't be recognized by him. So, you're the only one who can represent Mother. Black Jew's blood boiled. Representing his mother and being crowned with the name of Otsutsuki was something an illegitimate child like him could only dream of. Aizen continued. Do you want those two traitors to represent our family's glory? Of course not. Black Jew shouted with righteous indignation. That's right, that's what I want. Aizen praised. But Black Jew quickly withered and said with a sad face. But what if he, although he wasn't afraid of death, he didn't want to die for nothing? Moreover, Aizen was someone who even his mother had to sneak attack to defeat. If he fell into his hands, his fate would be worse than death. What are you afraid of? Aizen snorted. You can tell him that if he dares to kill you, I'll immediately lead the Six Paths and the main house to him. Black Jew's spirit was lifted. Yes, there was still his brother outside. Thinking of this, Black Jew felt relieved. Okay, let me meet this great senpai. Aizen nodded. When the time comes, focus on describing the threat of the Six Paths and the main house. If he agrees, give him the Rinnegan as a sign of our sincerity. We won't lead the Six Paths and the main house to him. Wait. Black Jew interrupted. If we give him the Rinnegan, how can we save Mother? Doesn't he also have the Rinnegan? Aizen smiled. Sincerity should be mutual, right? Is it possible for him to give us his Rinnegan? Black Jew said without confidence. Besides, can't he open that space with his Rinnegan? We only have the right to use his Rinnegan. Without his consent, of course, we can't go in. As for whether he agrees or not, I don't think we need to worry. His eyes must be extremely powerful, and it's difficult for him to control them. From his point of view, lending him the Rinnegan may give him a Jubi Jinchuriki. And if he doesn't want to, it's fine as long as he doesn't worry about us forcing him to open the space. I know. After that, Black Jew was a little worried. But what if he only agrees verbally and asks Mother to do it in the end? After all, if we give him the Rinnegan, we won't be able to threaten him. Who said we won't? Aizen laughed. Although I haven't been here for a long time, I know that some of the so-called ninjas have developed a technique called Edo Tensei. When the time comes, we can use the eyes of the dead to pull him out. Yes. Black Jew clapped his hands excitedly. A proud pure-blooded Otsutsuki like him won't care about mortal ninjutsu, let alone an imperfect resurrection. For a pure-blooded Otsutsuki, resurrection is a common ability, and a flawed resurrection is even more disdainful. But this flawed resurrection can do things that a perfect resurrection can't do. The state of the Rinnegan after resurrection won't conflict with the main world, that is to say, there won't be two pairs of Rinnegan. But the Edo Tensei perfectly uses this bug, allowing a pair of Rinnegan to exist in multiple people at the same time. At this moment, Black Jew finally understood the gap between him and his brother. His vision is still too small. He only revolved around the Uchiha and Senju for 1,000 years, thinking that he could control the ninja world, but in fact he didn't have much impact on the overall situation. Unlike his brother who just came down from the moon, he already calculated the Rikudo, the Hombu, and the Otsutsuki. No wonder his brother can deal with Himura, he's too strong. Madara, that arrogant guy, will be stunned when the time comes. Black Jew thought with bad intentions. When he wakes up, he won't be in the ninja world anymore. Chapter 511. Aizen continued. In addition to consuming their power, I have another mission. Black Zetsu recovered. Ah, another mission? Aizen nodded with a dignified expression. Mother was betrayed by those two, but Mother's abnormality was also a very important factor. What abnormality? Black Zetsu asked. This question touched his blind spot. The indigenous people on this planet have a very powerful power. Although they are not as powerful as Mother and Otsutsuki, they did cause a lot of trouble to them in the early days of their arrival on this planet. Especially after eating the chakra fruit, Mother realized the power of those systems. Aizen paused and continued. In order to escape punishment, Mother had to strengthen herself as much as possible. She chose the path of the natives of this planet called the God System. That's why Mother wantonly announced her identity as the goddess of Uno. Unfortunately, Mother overestimated herself and underestimated the power of the natives. Her soul was corrupted. In order to ensure the purity of her soul, Mother had to expel part of her power through childbirth. Black Zetsu listened in shock and suddenly became overjoyed. That is to say, those two traitors were the product of Mother's wrong cultivation. We too are the true inheritors of Mother's will. Aizen was speechless. Little Zetsu, your focus is always so strange. Aizen smiled gently. Yes, we are the true inheritors. In short, after Mother gave birth to the two of them, she entered a period of peace. However, Mother still underestimated the influence of the consciousness of all living beings on her. Those consciousnesses changed from bold and decisive actions to subtle influence. Even Mother herself did not realize that her personality was gradually changing. In the end, Mother became crazy and violent. She killed wantonly. She changed from a goddess to a demon. But at the most critical time, Rikudo and Himura didn't find a way to save Mother. Instead, they pushed her into the abyss. Black Zetsu almost cried. Betrayed by her own children at her most desperate and helpless time, Mother must have been very painful. Damn it, it's all my fault. I was too weak. I didn't have any power. I let Mother be imprisoned for so long. Don't blame yourself. Aizen patted him on the shoulder again. It's not like Mother didn't learn anything while she was sealed. She's aware of her own problems. If she can't solve the flaw in her soul, she'll still be controlled by her chaotic consciousness. I see. Black Zu finally understood. So, Big Brother, your other mission is to help Mother solve her soul problem? That's right. Aizen nodded. My idea is to make up for what she lacks. We'll collect pure souls with high innate talents for her to consume. As long as her soul origin is strong enough, those distracting thoughts will no longer affect her. What do you lack? Black Zetsu had some doubts. Using a pure soul to fight against chaos was understandable, but why did it have to be extremely talented? Could it be that he was saying that Mother was stupid? After discarding these messy thoughts, Black Zetsu exclaimed, could it be that Mother opened the infinite Tsukuyomi back then to collect human souls? Big Brother, are we going to end the world? Aizen's mouth twitched slightly. No, Mother has already proven that those who died in despair and pain have no effect on her. They must be pure souls with no regrets. Oh, I see. Heiju nodded thoughtfully. But how do I purify my soul? He asked again. Aizen calmly spat out a few words. Edo Tensei. Edo Tensei? Black Zetsu was puzzled. Won't those souls hate when they know they're being controlled? Aizen chuckled. People always have regrets at the moment of death. For example, their children's future, their crush, their dreams, the changes in society. Whether it's great love or small, as long as there's a lingering attachment to this world, there will be gains in the process. Then, for the sake of the living, their soul will ascend to heaven. I'm going to call it the Dream Realization Plan. Black Zetsu understood. Those souls that ascend are our goal? Aizen snapped his fingers. That's right, those souls are the most delicious. Mother will definitely like this gift. In other words, our goal is to fail the Edo Tensei, but we can't let them know that our goal is to fail. Black Zetsu hesitated. It seems difficult to control this. It is indeed difficult, so we need to find a dream realization master who can help us. Aizen chuckled. Big Brother, you already have a candidate in mind? Black Zetsu asked. Aizen smiled. Aren't you in contact with a guy called Kabul? I think he's good. You even know this as expected of Big Brother. Black Zetsu praised, but he wasn't confident. But can Kabul really do it? Aizen explained. An imitator who wants to prove his existence will most likely fail. His fanatical belief will convince others that he doesn't want to fail. Black Zetsu didn't think about it. I'll listen to Big Brother. By the way, what about the bordered soil? Is he still useful? Aizen said, of course he's useful. Don't forget, we can't stand in front of the stage yet. Then we'll put on a show and cooperate with Conan to save him? Black Setsu said, but what about the Rinnegan? We can't hide the exchange of eyes from him. Don't bother. Aizen shook his head. I'll use genjutsu to influence his thinking and make him think everything is reasonable. Black Setsu's eyes widened. Kodo Amatsukami? Kodo Amatsukami? Aizen pretended to be confused. Black Setsu explained, it's the Manjikyu Sharingan's degenerate version of the Rinnegan. It can change the thinking of others. I didn't expect Big Brother to know this too. Aizen was dissatisfied. Don't underestimate your potential. The Manjikyu Sharingan's power comes from the Rinnegan, and the Rinnegan's power comes from Mother. What's so strange about us being able to do this? Black Setsu muttered to himself, so I can do it too, but I haven't developed my potential yet. Aizen clapped his hands. Well, that's all for now. Be careful, we can't make a single mistake. Black Setsu was excited. Yes, I'll contact Kabul. Chapter 512. Between the Rain Country and the Fire Country, 4 figures were shuttling quickly. Suddenly, a figure wearing a whirlpool mask suddenly appeared in front of the 4. Why are you here? Sasuke's eyes were calm. According to the agreement, we have nothing to do with each other. No, you didn't fulfill the agreement. The Hachibi you caught is just a clone. Bordered Soil shook his index finger gently. He almost defeated Pain with an absolute advantage. Sasuke's face didn't look good. Bordered Soil he was seriously injured that day and paid such a heavy price. Even Pain wasn't there. He only caught a clone? Suigetsu wanted to retreat. You came to me to help you capture the Hachibi. I don't think we should go. After meeting Sasuke's cold eyes, of the Hachibi changed his words. For now. How about the organization's lazily rotation jutsu? I have another thing for you to do. Chakra to the clone. What's the matter? Karen said angrily. Asked, didn't you hear him say to destroy the 5 Kage Summit? Of course, the elephant rotation jutsu. 5 Kage Summit? No, I've already taken back Rinnegan. He still didn't know about the touched his stomach. With the capture of the Ichibi to the Nanabai, the 5 Kage will realize the seriousness of the matter. Enthusiastically. Of course, the direct factor that led to the summit is that you captured the Hachibi's Jinchuriki and caused Rakich's anger. No matter what you do, I'm going with my main body anyway. Didn't you say that the Hachibi's capture operation that he could defeat Rakichi with elephant rotation jutsu alone? Oh, the Hachibi's Jinchuriki is also unwilling to be left out. It's good for young people to experience Soil said with a smile. He pretended to be defeated by you, but in fact, he slipped out to have defeated Itachi. Even Rakichi doesn't know about Sasuke before. In other words, he doubted whether Sasuke was competent for the task of capturing Hachibi. He firmly believed that Sasuke could do it. Then even if the other party didn't want to use their hands to slip out, he also wanted to take this opportunity to observe Sasuke's ability and judge whether Sasuke was qualified to be a chess piece. Yunin doesn't like reasonable people. Sasuke said it will be dangerous if you go. You underestimate these eyes. You really don't want to go. Not only are they sealed with the world's strongest flame, I heard Rakichi say that Uchiha is integrated garbage and that Uchiha Itachi is also an idiot. Laughed. Why didn't he kill you back then? Enough. Sand Crypsis Village. Sasuke's killing Kazekage-sama, please be careful. 5 Kage-sama, Kankuro-sama, please. Yugo suddenly asked. Behind them, with the villagers enthusiastically called already farewell. Difficult enough. Kankuro responded disrupting the meeting of the 5 Kages, no matter how you think about it, isn't it impossible? If we really fight, we're the ones who need protection, right? Bordered Soil said with a smile. Kage is the symbol of a village. Chubi's Jinchuriki has to do everything will most likely where is the dignity of our Sand His current strength is not weaker than Sasuke's. glared at him with dissatisfaction. Kankuro whispered up and asked, do we really have such a thing as dignity in Sand Even Crypsis? You heard about it? You. Looks like it's Gaara really smiled a big deal. At the two quarreling. Bordered Soil when the two were tired, he asked, Naruto should be there for this meeting, subordinate right? Pain carried out a mission to destroy Kankuro wasn't very sure. Unfortunately, the mission was stopped by two foreigners. In the limelight this time. Outlander? Even the leader of Akatsuki was stopped by him. What do you mean? Tamari nodded. I don't know, but both of them are very strong, very powerful. One of them. However, I heard that the person who really defeated Pain was another person. I heard that his name is Shimizu Garashi. Gaara's eyes were dignified. He clearly remembered how powerless and desperate he was when he was pulled out of Shikaku. How powerful the man standing on the fingertips of the golem was. To be able to defeat such a powerful Pain, that man was definitely not simple. I really want to see him. Rock Crypsis Village. Oh my old waist. Anoki's eyes bulged and froze as soon as he carried the luggage on his back. Red Earth lifted him up and carried him on his back. Let me help you. Anoki's pair of short legs kicked. Put me down. Put me down. This old man is at Tsuchikage. How can I be carried by others? Kuratsuchi helplessly touched her forehead. Again, what a stubborn old man. Instead of wasting time on this kind of thing, it's better to think about how to express your position in the meeting. You mean that Uchiha Sasuke? Anoki's face was gloomy. What's there to think about? Of course this old man agrees with Rakichi. Although Deidara defected, even if he wants to be executed, it should be executed by our rock Crypsis, instead of letting him die in the hands of a woodleaf defector. Kuratsuchi whispered. I heard that Senpai blew himself up. Anoki's face froze. It doesn't matter. What matters is that he's alive and Deidara is dead. Okay. Kuratsuchi sighed and asked, Old man, what do you think of the news from Woodleaf? Suddenly, a super strong man who defeated pain appeared. It's a bit strange. Anoki touched his forehead. When I hear that person's name, I feel irritable for no reason. I always want to beat him up. Don't mess around, old man. Kuratsuchi stared at him. He's a strong man who can defeat pain. Don't play with your old life. Humph. Isn't this old man's dust release powerful? Anoki grunted a few times unhappily and pressed down his bamboo hat. Shimizu Garashi? This old man wants to see it. Chapter 513. A few days later, early in the morning, on the Sanlang Mountain of the Land of Iron. In the room prepared for Cloud Village, Reikich took off his shirt, revealing his strong muscles. After exercising his body, he asked, Darui, are all the people from all the villages here? Darui scratched his hair lazily. Naruto, who was the last to arrive, also arrived last night. Women are troublesome. A made a straight man's voice. By the way, what about Samui and the other two? Darui replied, they came with Naruto but they arrived late yesterday so they didn't bother you. They only said that they have something important to report today. Report? Let's talk about it after the meeting. A waved his hand impatiently. Go find the Admiral of the Land of Iron and ask him to come over to preside over the meeting. Yes. In the outside world, Empress Shomiai wandered around, pretending to unintentionally wander near other ninja villages, whispering one or two comments from time to time. Rock Crypsis's people are old men and strong men, bad review. That little girl's legs are good, but unfortunately I don't like them. San Crypsis's people, oh, I didn't expect Kazekage to be a handsome guy. Although he's too young and not my cup of tea, he can still be considered. Kenkro. Hey, guy with oil paint on his face, get out of my sight. Chojuro followed behind her with a dumbfounded look. Is Mizuki-sama treating the 5 Kage Summit as a marriage agency? Ching looked around vigilantly. He couldn't let anyone else hear him. Otherwise, the Mist Village's society would die. Yunin's people are not considered, the muscular man is too scary, let me see Woodleaf. Hearing Mizuki-sama's voice, Chojuro nervously asked, Mizuki-sama, what's wrong with you? Then he heard Empress Shomiai whispering there, what should I name the child? If I give birth to a girl, will he blame me? Will I live in Kirin or Woodleaf in the future? Chojuro, Sigma, degree. She followed Empress Shomiai's gaze and saw a perfect man standing there. Especially his temperament, which was deep and mysterious, attracting their gazes like a magnet. Even from a man's point of view, they all had the same terrifying thought for a moment. No wonder Mizuki-sama is like this. The two of them sighed and then they saw Mizuki-sama sliding towards each other as if attracted by a magnet. Mizuki-sama, don't. Ao howled in despair in his heart. Is Mizuki-sama going to replace the image of the Blood Mist Village with the Flower Addict Village? Fortunately, the warriors of the Land of Iron appeared in time. Everyone, Admiral Mifune invites you to attend the meeting. Hearing the invitation, the ninjas from each village walked towards the pyramid in the central area. When the figures of Woodleaf and the others disappeared from her sight, Empress Shomiai suddenly woke up and said with a pale face, Oh no, I think I'm under an illusion. What? Genjutsu? The simple-minded Chojuro immediately believed it, and said with surprise and anger, Is that person a spy of the Akatsuki? Mizuki-sama, we must immediately inform the other ninja villages. Empress Shomiai laughed twice. No, I don't think he's an enemy, he's just coveting my beauty. In the face of the enemy we shouldn't meddle. Chojuro was moved. Mizuki-sama, you've been wronged. Ao's mouth twitched. How is this genjutsu? It's clear that Mizuki-sama's will is not strong enough, and you're tempted by other people's beauty. Of course he certainly didn't dare to say this, so he reluctantly smiled. Let's hurry over, right? Empress Shomiai nodded with a dignified expression. I must observe that man carefully in case he uses genjutsu on me again. After a while, the 5 Kages sat in the meeting room. Before Mifune, who was presiding over the meeting, spoke, Tsunade proposed first. Before the meeting, I think it's necessary to add another seat. Everyone looked at her in surprise. They didn't expect Tsunade to mention this before the meeting began. Ai sneered, What? Do you want to add another seat for the Akatsuki? After all, Woodleaf can be said to be an important talent training base for the Akatsuki. Orochi Maru, Uchiha Itachi, Uchiha Sasuke and Pain, who is suspected to be Jiraiya's disciple, are all from Woodleaf. Tsunade didn't get angry, she just crossed her hands and supported her chin. Please continue. AI asked unhappily, what do you mean? Tsunade said seriously, we gathered here to solve problems, not to create problems. So, if you still have resentment, please vent it out and we'll start after you've vented it. Reikich's facial muscles twitched. Tsunade's posture made him feel powerless, as if he was punching cotton. Compared with her generosity, it seemed like he was too calculative. Moreover, Tsunade's tone gave him the feeling of, after the naughty child is done with the nonsense, the teacher will teach the class. If he made trouble again, he was worried that Tsunade would say, AI is good. Thinking of this, AI snorted, this seat is for the guy named Shimizu Garashi? Tsunade nodded seriously and glanced at the crowd. Garashi is not only the benefactor of Woodleaf, but also the light of hope for our world. So, of course he is qualified to sit with us. Light of hope? We've never been desperate, have we? AI sneered, now there are only a few of us left. How can we despair? Garashi jumped down from the platform, easily carved a table and chair with mokutan, and then sat on it in front of everyone's surprised eyes. Next, let me explain to you the danger that this world is about to encounter. At the same time, in the forest outside the pyramid. Let's use elephant rotation clone jutsu here. Suigetsu rubbed his palms and smiled. If we go further, it seems to be dangerous. Sasuke didn't say a word and calmly looked at the pyramid below. Yugo said calmly, I don't need to use clone jutsu. Sasuke is someone recognized by Kimimaro. Whatever he does, I will do. Hey, you guys are making me look very unsociable. Karen, you also say something. Karen? Suigetsu said and suddenly felt a little strange. Why didn't Karen talk to him today? Sasuke and Yugo also noticed Karen's strangeness and turned to look. They saw Karen's pretty face was pale, sitting on the ground in a duck-sitting posture, her body trembling from time to time. Sasuke looked serious. Karen, what's wrong with you? Hearing Sasuke's voice, Karen barely recovered, raised her index finger, trembled, and pointed in the direction of the pyramid and said incoherently, that, fear. Chapter 5:14. Seeing Karen like this, Suigetsu was powerless to complain. Sister, can you speak clearly? Who can understand this? Sasuke suddenly asked. You mean there is a very terrifying chakra in that direction? Karen nodded desperately. Sure enough, Sasuke understood her best. Suigetsu shrugged. I thought you wanted to say something? There are 5 kages inside. Chakra is of course terrifying. Besides, in terms of pure chakra, can they be stronger than Hachibi Jinchuriki? No. Karen growled in a suppressed voice. I perceived many powerful chakra, and even 5 or 6 people's chakra were not inferior to Hachibi Jinchuriki, but compared with the last chakra I perceived, they added up to less than 1/10. No, it's 100th, 1000th, it's just like the gap between a firefly and the sun, so big that it can't be calculated. In the end, Karen could hardly control the volume of her voice. She was shouting. Fortunately, Sasuke quickly arranged a soundproof barrier, but even so, his face didn't look very good. He perceived great horror from Karen's words. Suigetsu swallowed subconsciously. Although he and Karen always quarreled, in terms of perception he still respected the judgment of a professional very much. In other words, there may be a monster more terrifying than the 5 kages combined in that venue? Sasuke asked with a dignified expression. Karen, are you sure? If there is such a terrifying chakra, the censor ninjas of all parties shouldn't be indifferent. Karen tried her best to calm down. The owner of that chakra is suppressing his own aura. It's just that the method he used to seal his power has traces of the Uzumaki clan, and my eye of Kagura is far stronger than the average person's. That's how I was barely able to sense his existence. Several people's hearts were a little heavy. Dozens or hundreds of times the strength of a Kage? What kind of concept is this? With their knowledge they couldn't even imagine it. Karen moved her lower lip and didn't speak. In the end, Sasuke said, it's nothing more than chakra being powerful. There's nothing to be afraid of. Naruto's chakra is dozens of times stronger than mine. Isn't it at that level? Even so, Shueiwa and the other 2 still had heavy hearts. Chakra and strength were not equal. This was only applicable when one was weak and unable to fully utilize chakra. To an expert, the strength of chakra was equivalent to their own strength. Karen suggested tentatively, why don't we wait and see? Should we wait until the leader makes his move? Sasuke hesitated for a moment. Well, let that rude bastard live for a few more minutes. Although Reikage insulted Itachi, he wasn't the kind of person who would actually harm Itachi. Considering that the situation in front of him was really complicated, Kuroda forcibly suppressed his thoughts. In the venue, Garashi said solemnly, "Before I tell you the truth of this world, I have to make one thing clear. Because what I'm about to tell you is very important, it may cause a serious impact if it's leaked out. Therefore, I will set up a seal for you after this to ensure that this news will not leak out." Everyone present was surprised by Garashi's use of wood release. Hearing this, except for Woodleaf, the other 4 villages were in an uproar. Set up a seal for us? This kind of thing is absolutely impossible. I won't force it. Garashi's voice was calm. It's just that those who don't want to accept the seal can only leave temporarily. Tsunade said in a timely manner, Woodleaf has already taken the initiative to ask for the seal. What Garashi-sama is about to say is really important. The foundation of the 5 Kage Summit is the sharing of information. You are not qualified to negotiate with me here. A slammed the table and shouted loudly. Mizuki, who was standing behind Garashi, took a step forward. Idiot! Who do you think you are talking to? A's mouth twitched. What kind of understanding ability does this idiot have? Can't he understand that I'm talking to Tsunade? However, he wasn't a good-tempered person, so he stood up and turned into a thunderbolt and rushed toward the other party. You should first understand who you are talking to. At this time, Samui hurriedly shouted in the audience, Reikage-sama, calm down. Girls are extroverted. A, who was running, snorted coldly, I will spare his life. Many people didn't react, only to see Reikage and Mizuki collide together. Only to hear a roar, lightning shot out, and the two bounced back at the same time, crashing through the wall and appearing in the open air. Reikage landed steadily on the snow and looked at the other party in surprise. A guard is not inferior to my strength. Mizuki looked at his right hand with an ugly face. It was scorched black, and even the defensive steel release was broken. I lost. You are not good at taijutsu, and you haven't had time to enter sage mode. It's normal that you can't beat him. Garashi commented on the side. Everyone was shocked. A person who is not good at taijutsu didn't suffer too much in a fist fight with Reikage. And such a strong person is only that person's guard. At this time, Darui and the others reacted and rushed outside, protecting Reikage behind them. However, their protection was useless. Because the enemy appeared from behind Reikage. Sasuke stabbed Ai's back with Chidori. Reikage, did you say bad things about Itachi? Although he originally intended to attack after the masked man, seeing Reikage's position was so tempting, it would be a pity not to attack him. It's just that Reikage's combat experience was too rich. Even if he was surprised and was attacked from behind, he still reacted at a very fast speed. After avoiding the attack, he hit Sasuke with a karate chop. Then he said coldly, Uchiha Itachi? I don't even have the desire to evaluate that kind of loser. Loser? You don't know anything at all. Hearing Reikage's words, Sasuke roared and directly used Susanoo. The half-skeletal giant waved his arm and hammered down. Mizuki, who said no but his body was honest, said excitedly, with this move even Reikage can only retreat, right? Then he saw Reikage kick Susanoo, and kick Sasuke's face with Susanoo's residual force, sending Sasuke flying out. The scene was dead silent. Many people thought, Uchiha Sasuke came here to die? Shushi sat in his seat and watched the scene of Sasuke being beaten up with great interest. He even wondered if he should make a copy of Sasuke's memory in this universe and let the Sasuke in this universe experience it as well. Although it's not only suffering that can give birth to strong people, who told Sasuke to have Sharingan. It's not good to let him suffer. Chapter 515. This guy is stronger than Hachibi's Jinchuriki. Although his whole body was in severe pain, Sasuke's brain was clearer than before. I'm slightly weaker than Hachibi's Jinchuriki. If I want to defeat him, I can only use the trick to defeat Hachibi's Jinchuriki, Amaterasu. Reikage rushed to catch up, ready to catch Sasuke, who was flying upside down in midair, and use Reigo Bomb to kill him directly. But at this moment, he found that Sasuke reluctantly raised his head and opened his eyes, and a line of blood tears flowed down. Amaterasu that summons the immortal fire at the gaze? Recalling Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Sasuke's intelligence, Reikage was alert and quickly turned his body's activity to the maximum, changing from a straight-line sprint to a disorderly advance. Sasuke couldn't aim, and the summoned Amaterasu missed and fell on a wall. Seeing this, Suigetsu and Kairin's hearts were cold. Mangekyo's two strongest moves were broken. How can they fight? Sasuke forcibly stabilized his body and fell back to the ground. Looking at the approaching Raikage, he once again summoned Susanoo, and then summoned the immortal fire burning in the venue back to his side, wrapping it around the skeleton bones. Sasuke is worthy of being called Sasuke, combining two abilities. Karen was excited and looked at Raikage proudly. Continue to rush, let's see how you can hit Sasuke without being stained with black flames. However, Raikage's figure didn't stop at all, but accelerated and rushed over. No way? Is this bastard not afraid of death? Karen panicked. Darui also saw Raikage's plan and loudly dissuaded him. Raikage-sama, don't be impulsive, don't underestimate Raikage. Roared and chopped down. It's you who shouldn't underestimate Uchiha. Sasuke also roared and the skeleton giant condensed a lot, and the fist wrapped in black flames punched out. No, I'm going to stop them. Naruto was about to rush up, but he was held down by Kakashi. Don't mess around, no one can stop them now. At this time, Sakura gently poked Kakashi with her finger and whispered, Kakashi, sensei, the battle has been stopped. What? Kakashi turned his head in bewilderment, but he suddenly understood. No wonder he hadn't heard the roar of the collision for so long. At the intersection of lightning and black flame, a tall figure took the attack of Raikage and Sasuke at the same time. Oh, so it's Garashi-sama. Then it's fine. Kakashi thought. However, the others were stunned. It's not that they can't accept that someone is stronger than Uchiha, Sasuke and Raikage, but to be able to catch their attacks so easily, it's really challenging their worldview. Also, why didn't the black flames have any effect? This guy actually used his body to block my attack. AI's eyes widened in disbelief. At this moment he finally understood. Samui told me to calm down because of him? Sasuke was even more shocked. Why can't my black flame burn him? Even if it's an incombustible material, it should be able to be ignited by force. At this moment he also came to a realization. He's the super terrifying monster that Karen mentioned? Garashi's voice was gentle. Everyone back off. Raikage suppressed the shock in his heart. You want to save him? Sasuke retorted. Do you think you can kill me? Raikage snorted coldly. If it weren't for him, you would be dead now. Garashi shook his head slightly. Saving him is also saving you. It's a pity for a taijutsu ninja like you to lose an arm. Raikage said with hatred. As long as I can avenge by losing an arm is nothing. What if he's not dead? Garashi asked with a smile. What? Raikage was excited. Do you know something? Sasuke also cast a surprised look. Even he only knew this news recently. How did this man know? Garashi didn't answer directly but turned to look at Sasuke. Can I trouble you to tell him the truth? Before he could say anything, Karen, who was eager to protect her man, shouted anxiously, We caught Hachibi's clone. We were fooled too. I didn't doubt it because this was indeed something that bastard would do. He couldn't help but look up to the sky. That idiot actually took this opportunity to run out and play. I won't forgive him. Everyone's mouth twitched. Raikage's brother really knew how to play. He almost caused his brother to lose his arm. Great, Sensei wasn't caught. Samui and the other two shouted happily, but Naruto on the side was even more excited than them. Great, can Sasuke's arrest warrant be revoked? Hearing his voice, Raikage calmed down from his rage. Even if Bai wasn't caught as members of Akatsuki, they still deserved to die. Sasuke was about to attack when he heard Suigetsu shouting. Don't talk nonsense. We were just hired by Akatsuki. We have nothing to do with Akatsuki now. Raikage frowned. Even if it's not Akatsuki, your identity as a traitor? Gaara glanced at Naruto, who looked worried and took the initiative to say, Raikage, the key now is how to deal with Akatsuki. It's not wise to push the neutral team to Akatsuki's side. Tsunade followed. We'll deal with the traitor ourselves. Raikage doesn't need to worry about it. Raikage's nostrils exhaled white smoke. Let's see how you deal with the traitor in the future. Suddenly, the sound of clapping hands came from above. Everyone looked up and saw a man wearing a whirlpool mask standing on the eaves clapping his hands. It used to be Akatsuki poaching people from the 5 great ninja villages. I didn't expect you to poach people from Akatsuki today. Raikage was upset. Don't count Yunin. We don't have traitors who betrayed the village. Don't be so sure. What if I'm Yunin's? Bordered Soil teased. Raikage's eyes widened. You're Yunin's man? No, I'm not. Bordered Soil shrugged. Raikage's face darkened. Boring idiot. Anoki asked, Who are you? My name is Uchiha Madara. Obito enjoyed everyone's shocked expressions and said slowly, I'm here to explain something to everyone and listen to everyone's opinions. It's about my Eye of the Moon plan. At this time, Kakashi suddenly asked, Bordered Soil, is that you? Although he couldn't talk about the parallel world, he could still talk about the guesses of the people in the parallel world. Bordered Soil's legs softened, and he almost fell from the eaves. He said with a little panic, What Uchiha Bordered Soil? I've never heard of him. Kakashi looked sad. You've never heard of him? How do you know his surname is Uchiha? Chapter 5:16. Bordered Soil's mouth twitched. He felt that his name was poisonous. When he was called Uchiha Madara, he wasn't a genius, but he was wise and far-sighted. But after he subconsciously became Bordered Soil's identity, his smart IQ left him again. How could he make such a low-level mistake? Seeing this, everyone knew that Uchiha Madara's name was deliberately released by this person to scare them. However, who is Bordered Soil? Logically speaking, such a powerful person should be very famous. Not only them, but Sasuke was also surprised. He's also an Uchiha? How come I never heard of him when I was a child? Karen was almost frightened, and she prayed frantically in her heart, this guy can't be a woman. She knew that reviving the Uchiha has always been Sasuke's obsession. Although the Uchiha once again shook the ninja world under the influence of Itachi and Sasuke, revival can't only be achieved by reputation, but also by population. She has always regarded increasing the population as her task, and even thought about giving birth to a nest of children with Sasuke every year. But this guy's identity as an Uchiha is too much. If he's a woman, maybe Sasuke will find her as his wife to maintain the purity of his bloodline? In this awkward atmosphere, Bordered Soil simply pulled off the mask on his face, revealing a rather terrifying face. "Ha, yes, it's me. Speaking of which, it's really gratifying. I obviously changed my voice and habits, but you still recognized me. You're worthy of being my good teammate, Kakashi." Kakashi was ashamed. "No, I didn't see it at all." Bordered Soil's smile froze, and he asked with a twisted face, "Then how did you recognize me?" Kakashi hesitated and didn't speak. "Enough, let's stop the boring reminiscing." Reikage couldn't stand it anymore and stood up and asked, "I ask you, what do you want to do?" "What do I want to do?" "Good question." Bordered Soil laughed and opened his hands as if he was hugging the world. "I want to create a world without disputes, without pain, and truly peaceful." Everyone had strange expressions on their faces. It was too discordant for a villain to say such words. AI sneered. "That's impossible, and there's no sign of peace in your actions. Don't tell me you're planning to kill everyone to achieve true peace?" Unexpectedly, Bordered Soil did not refute. Instead, he thought about it seriously. "In a sense, you are not wrong." Everyone couldn't help but curse out loud. "Crazy. How could you achieve peace by killing everyone?" The angrier they were and the more they cursed, the happier Bordered Soil was. "Aha, you're already angry? It's far from enough. It's far from enough to experience my pain. The Bordered Soil of this space-time is a freak," Shueimu muttered in his heart. Sure enough, a world without Garashi cannot be saved. Kakashi took a deep breath. "That's impossible. The Bordered Soil in my memory is definitely not such a person." "That's because the Bordered Soil in your memory is already dead." Bordered Soil sneered and calmed down. "Let's put it this way. I collect bijou to obtain the most powerful power in the world, and then project my eyes on the moon to cast a genjutsu, infinite Tsukuyomi. At that time, people all over the world will be immersed in the same illusion. In that world, there will be no disputes, no barriers, and everyone can live happily. That's right, I want to create a truly peaceful world." At this time, Garashi suddenly said, "Isn't it to create a world with Rin?" Bordered Soil's face was distorted. "Damn, why does this guy even know my thoughts?" Kakashi was shocked. "You're doing all this for Rin?" Bordered Soil said excitedly. "Bastard, what right do you have to mention Rin's name?" "Who's Rin?" Naruto asked, puzzled. "Rin Noera, a very gentle and kind girl." Tsunade had some impression of Rin, who mastered senjutsu at the age of 12 or 13 and was very talented in medical ninjutsu. Everyone was shocked by Bordered Soil's tolerance and philosophy, but when they heard what Garashi and Kakashi said, the image of Bordered Soil that he had just created collapsed instantly. Damn, this guy dragged the whole world into an illusion just to see a woman. He's crazy. If he wants to see her in the illusion, can't he just use genjutsu on himself? Seeing the disdain in everyone's eyes, Bordered Soil scolded angrily. "What's with the look in your eyes? Do you think my idea is ridiculous?" It's not ridiculous, it's stupid. AI scolded. If everyone falls into the illusion and starves to death in a few days, how can you maintain genjutsu? Bordered Soil said confidently. Tsukuyami can freely control the time in the illusion. If it's infinite Tsukuyami, a lifetime in the dream is just a moment in the outside world. Many people were moved by this. If that's the case, it doesn't seem bad. Isn't this equivalent to having an extra life? Inoki asked. And then? You can break the illusion? Bordered Soil was silent for a moment. I don't know. You don't know? What do you mean? Gaara asked. Literally, I don't know if this illusion can be broken. In short, I'll reincarnate indefinitely in the infinite Tsukuyami. Bordered Soil said longingly. Many people subconsciously slapped themselves. How stupid, they even believed in the dream of a psychopath. Kakashi still had a trace of fantasy. Can't you use Tsukuyami on yourself? Bordered Soil shook his head slightly. No, Rin will be lonely. It's difficult to build a real world, even if you become the Jubi's Jinchuriki. Only by making everyone fall into an illusion and fusing everyone's dreams together can you build a real illusory world. There's nothing to say to this lunatic. Anyway, he and one other person are the only ones left. AI said loudly. You mean to declare war? Bordered Soil raised his head slightly and looked down at the people below. Declare war? On what basis are you declaring war on us? On the basis of the 100,000 white Zetsu army in my hands, as well as the powerhouses from various villages who were reincarnated from the Edo Tensei, and the seven-tailed beasts. Hearing this, everyone was in an uproar. No one thought that the seemingly dying Akatsuki could still come up with such power. 100,000 troops, this number is too terrifying. Edo Tensei? Is it the evil ninjutsu developed by the legendary second Naruto? Damn it, it's Woodleaf's fault again. Compared to their shock and chaos, the people on Woodleaf's side were much calmer. This level is far from what Mizuki said. Chapter 517. Bordered Soil crossed his arms. I'll ask you one last time, are you willing to hand over Hachibi and Kyuubi's Jinchuriki? Although A was surprised at first, he quickly calmed down. Don't say such stupid words again. Do you think we will be threatened by you? Bordered Soil nodded slightly and said loudly, very well, since you chose war, then I will give you war. I hereby announce that the Fourth Shinobi World War has begun. After that, he looked at Sasuke. It seems that you don't plan to come back? Sasuke's eyes were calm. I've already said it's just a deal between you and me. Bordered Soil's mouth slightly raised. Don't you feel that your eyesight is getting worse and worse and even things are a little blurry? Sasuke's face was gloomy. You don't need to say that. Bordered Soil took out a small glass bottle filled with solution from the space, and a pair of scarlet eyes soaked in the solution. Do you regret that you didn't change Itachi's eyes at that time? Do you want it? If you want it, I can give it to you. Sasuke sneered. Will you be so kind? You're right, I'm so kind. Bordered Soil chuckled and threw the glass bottle at Sasuke. Sasuke caught the glass bottle and was surprised. What do you want to do? Bordered Soil smiled gloomily. The more you pursue power, the more you will fall into darkness. Just like you went to Orochimaru to seek power, I'm waiting for the day you return to me to seek the advancement of Rinnegan. After that, Bordered Soil turned into a whirlpool and disappeared. His words successfully made everyone vigilant against Sasuke. After all, Sasuke has a criminal record. Inoki had a bad association in his heart, thinking of someone who also pursued power and transplanted his brother's eyes. He couldn't help but warn, young man, I advise you to throw away the eyes on your hand. He's right, the more you pursue power, the closer you will be to the abyss. Sasuke looked at him coldly. I broke with Akatsuki, but it doesn't mean that I will return to your camp. It's too early to preach to me. Inoki said in a deep voice, then don't blame us for eliminating the threat in advance for the peace of the shinobi world. Sasuke laughed mockingly. You're just afraid of the Uchiha's power. Seeing that the atmosphere on both sides was tense and that a fight was about to break out, Xiaoying stood up nervously and shouted, everyone calm down. Don't fall into the enemy's trap. However, no one listened to her. Sakura wanted to call Naruto along, but she found that Naruto looked like he wanted to vomit but couldn't. Naruto, you. At this time, Garashi stood up. If you are worried that Sasuke will join Akatsuki for the power of Rinnegan, then you don't have to, because I also know the method to advance Rinnegan. Everyone was shocked and turned their attention back to this mysterious man. Judging from the way he called out the Bordered Soil's inner thoughts, he did know a lot of things. You know it too? Anoki was surprised and then asked, "What is your identity?" "This is part of the fact that I wanted to tell you before." Garashi said seriously, "If you are willing to accept the seal after the event, I will not hide it." Seal? Everyone thought seriously, and this time they didn't show resistance like before. On the one hand, the Uchiha-bordered soil declared war, which confirmed the crisis Garashi said. On the other hand, Garashi showed his strength. With his strength, it doesn't seem to be so troublesome to deal with them. Moreover, they can let Garashi seal them one by one. If Garashi is really plotting against them, they should be able to see the clues from the first few seals. So, everyone just hesitated for a moment and agreed. At this time, Garashi looked at Sasuke on the side. "If you are interested, you can also come and listen." Meh. Sasuke was a little hesitant. He could feel the other party's protection and care for him. Moreover, it seems that this man is the one who ended Danzo. So he didn't hesitate too much. After getting a response, everyone went back to the venue. While Garashi was telling everyone about the parallel world in a space full of science fiction. Kagaya's son? Cooperation? Sishin sat on the throne with her legs crossed, holding her chin with one hand, and looked at someone in front of her with a smile. "You know my identity and you dare to come in front of me. I have to say you have a lot of courage." Black Zetsu took a deep breath. "Although I am afraid, I am more afraid that my mother will not be redeemed." Sishin clapped her hands with emotion. "Compared with those two guys, your filial piety is really touching." Black Zetsu proudly puffed out his chest. "This is the strength that supported me to come to you." Sishin didn't speak anymore and her fingers gently tapped on the armrest. Only the tapping sound and the sound of their breathing could be heard in the whole room. Finally, while Black Zetsu was waiting nervously, Sishin chuckled softly, "Although I also want to kill that bastard Kagaya, there is one thing you are right about. Compared with the six paths and the homecoming, Kagaya and I are weak. The weak side should unite." Black Zetsu was excited. "So you agree?" "Yes." Otsutsuki Ikiashi, who was in Sishin's body, flew out of his ear and returned to his normal size. He calmly pulled out his right eye and threw it over. "Give me the eye of the newcomer." "Yes." Black Zetsu hurriedly handed over Madara's eye. Ikiashi took the eye and put it in his eye socket. This newcomer's dojutsu is interesting. Worried that the other party would change his mind, Black Zetsu dared to stay. "Then I will leave first." Ikiashi waved his hand. "Go away." When Black Zetsu left, Ikiashi touched his right eye and chuckled softly. "Let me fight with those troublesome guys and consume my strength. You can hide behind and resurrect Kagaya." What a good plan. It's a pity that you underestimated Otsutsuki. Even Black Zetsu himself didn't know that he was controlled by Ikiashi for a few seconds and all his memories were red. Ikiashi rubbed his chin. "I can control such a low-quality creation like him." On the other hand, the big brother in his memory seems to be a difficult person to deal with. He actually inferred my existence and location based on some subtle traces. Moreover, he deliberately avoided meeting with me and let this guy be his spokesperson. He is very cautious. Moreover, that guy is willing to use the Jubi's Jinchuriki to lure me in. I have to say that even I was a little surprised by this courage and it made me excited. As long as I can control the guy named Bordered Soil in his memory with my dojutsu, I can get a combat power close to mine, and get the opportunity for me in the final battle. Oh, that guy shouldn't have even calculated this and deliberately used this trick to force me to come out early, right? Chapter 518. Leaving that strange space and returning to the real world. Black Zetsu still felt that it was unreal. That's it? He had been worried that Otsutsuki would attack him, and even followed the vine to find his brother and mother. He didn't expect it to go so smoothly. After appearing in the same place, a white Zetsu came over. "How is it? Is there a result of the negotiation?" Black Zetsu asked in surprise. "Are you my brother?" White Zetsu nodded. "After all, the other party is the same as mother. You still have to be careful of him doing something to you." Black Zetsu said. "Indeed, we should be careful. Brother, did you find anything?" White Zetsu shook his head slightly. "With our strength, it's difficult to find out if he did something to you. Let's go to the Ghetto Mazo and talk. With the help of the Ghetto Mazo, we should be able to find some clues." Black Zetsu naturally wouldn't object. After going to the Ghetto Mazo, White Zetsu nodded slightly. It seems that he is also very cautious. He didn't extend his tentacles to the outside world. Black Zetsu breathed a sigh of relief and smiled. It seems that he really wants to cooperate with us. He even gave us his eyes. Not necessarily. White Setsu squinted his eyes and suddenly asked, "How long did it take from you to come out? Tell me the exact time." Although they didn't deliberately remember the time, it wasn't difficult for them to find the answer by looking back. After thinking for a while, Black Setsu gave the answer. 8 minutes and 31 seconds. White Setsu's pupils shrank. "Sure enough, you lost 3 seconds of memory." Black Setsu was shocked and hurriedly asked, "Brother, you mean I was controlled by him?" White Setsu nodded and exhaled. "Most likely. In fact, it was thanks to Black Setsu's long life that he had enough memory. If other people were controlled by Otsutsuki, most of their memories would be read in an instant. In that case, this method wouldn't work." Black Setsu was a little panicked. "Then my memory shouldn't have been read by him, right? Under normal circumstances, the lightest memory reading ninjutsu would be soul damage." He didn't feel any discomfort. It was reasonable to say that his memory wasn't read. But after all, the other party was the same as his mother. It wasn't surprising that he had some ability. "Read it," White Setsu said calmly. "It's not a big deal." There were too many possibilities and uncertainties when it came to scheming against such an existence. Moreover, the experience in this world was just a reference. In his opinion, as long as he could gather enough information, it would be considered a success. As for the rest, he would take as much profit as he could. He wasn't worried, but Black Jew was. "But then our plan will be exposed," White Zhu said in a deep voice. "Don't worry, at least for now. Before we deal with the dominator of 6 realms and the main family, our interests are aligned with his." He knew our plan, but he pretended not to know. He even gave you his eyes. This proves it. Heiju was also confused by his concern. After calming down, he regained his consciousness. "Big brother, you're right. The fight in the early stage is not important at all. The key is still the Jubi Jinchuriki. Otsutsuki wants to turn the Jubi Jinchuriki into his own strength. We want the Jubi Jinchuriki to absorb the Tree of Light and eventually become the hotbed and vessel for Mother's descent." White Zhu nodded. "Let's begin. Let's give the stage to the chess pieces first. Whoever leaves the stage first will lose the initiative in this game." Land of Iron, Sanlang Mountain. After listening to Garashi's narration, everyone was stunned and speechless. When Sakura Naruto used her own experience to prove it, everyone was excited and shocked. It's amazing there is such a thing as a parallel world. No wonder Garashi-sama said that he wants to seal us. If this kind of thing spreads out, it will indeed cause people's hearts to waver. Ninja Alliance? Is it really possible to let the major ninja villages who hate each other come together? The Shinobi World War in that time and space was 8 years ahead of us, and it was also settled by this Sama. In these shocking voices, Sasuke felt lost. Did I lose nothing in that world? Gaara also muttered to himself. My father in that time and space seems to be a little different from Sancrypsis. Anoki pondered for a moment and suddenly said, although this request is a bit excessive, but since you have settled the war in that time and space, can you help us settle the upcoming war? In addition to wanting to save time and effort by freeloading, he also had the intention to verify the validity of his words. After all, what the other party said was too exaggerated and outrageous. Mizuki took a step forward, concealing the fact that Garashi's body didn't come, and his clone couldn't fight at full strength for the time being, and casually said, the leader's strength is too strong, suppressed by the world's consciousness, and can only exert less than 1/10 of his power. Hearing him say this, everyone's eyes almost popped out. Inserted between Reikage and Sasuke, and easily stopped the battle between them, such a powerful force is less than 1/10 of his true strength? Then how strong is his true strength? Can he destroy the world? Garashi didn't refute but said seriously, in a few days my strength should be restored, but I still can't help you in the early stage. Without waiting for everyone to speak, Garashi took the initiative to explain, among the enemies there are people whose strength is not weaker than mine. If I go first, it's equivalent to giving up the initiative, and only in the final stage will I officially help. Later, Garashi added, of course I will try my best to help you in terms of intelligence and advice. Advice? Everyone's mind was active with this Sama strength, presumably, even the 5 Kages would be improved a lot. Reikage didn't believe it. You can also give advice on taijutsu? Mizuki sneered, Leader Sama's taijutsu is so strong that he can tear Susanoo with his hands and kick meteorites with his feet. Everyone didn't know that there were different levels of Susanoo, they only thought that the Susanoo Mizuki spoke of was the one that Reikage had broken before. However, this was already shocking enough, not to mention the unimaginable feat of kicking meteorites. Even Reikage Sama can't kick meteorites with his feet. He can still kick meteorites, but I can't guarantee what will happen after he kicks it. What's wrong with Woodleaf in our time and space? He's a traitor, but when it comes to Garashi-sama, a great person who can benefit the world, he actually disappeared. Garashi said, even without me, I believe that everyone will be able to defeat the enemy. You are the real masters of this world. As long as everyone is truly united, there is no enemy that can't be defeated. Chapter 519. After listening to Garashi's words, everyone nodded silently. As the leaders of the various villages, they certainly know the importance of unity. Even if Garashi didn't say it, they would have set out to form the Ninja Allied Forces. However, the rules for forming the Ninja Allied Forces can't be taken out casually. They have to go back to the village and gather everyone to discuss it. Therefore, everyone just discussed a few key points and didn't say anything more. Anoki said, Garashi-sama, I'll have to trouble you with the matter of setting up the seal. Garashi nodded slightly, please don't resist. After that, a small black dot flew out from the tip of his index finger and lightly touched everyone with lightning speed. It's done. Hearing Garashi's voice, many people didn't react. Huh? It's done? Did something happen? Karen whispered, what a powerful seal, I can't find a way to break it at all. Moreover, the nature of this seal is very gentle. People who are also sealed can talk to each other. If this matter is revealed to the outside world, it will only be temporarily forgotten, and there won't be any punishment. Not only her, but the powerhouses of the various villages who are good at sealing were secretly shocked. The effect of this seal can be said to be extremely powerful. It's reasonable to say that such a powerful seal is at least S-class, but the other party actually sealed all of them in an instant, which is really beyond the scope of their understanding. Garashi looked calmly at everyone's performance. The seal he placed with the truth-seeking ball is at least 1 or 2 levels above the current seal system. Of course, it won't be so easy to break it. In addition to the seal itself, this mark can also let everyone communicate with each other on the battlefield, regardless of the range, and instantly transmit information and intelligence. Consider it my compensation for the seal I placed on everyone. Hearing this, everyone was surprised and happy and quickly tried it. It seems to work. Such a kid bastard, can you hear me? Rakage idiot, shut up. Although the major ninja villages have similar means of communication, most of them need to rely on tools, and there are many restrictions, which is as convenient as this seal. Many people felt guilty when they thought of this. They felt ashamed for suspecting Shushi of harboring ill intentions earlier. Apart from that, they were even more shocked. Not only was this leader from a parallel universe powerful, but his methods were also miraculous. Just a simple seal was enough to make them unable to understand it. Everyone, go back and digest today's information. Meeting adjourned. Garashi said habitually. Yes. Everyone replied in unison. After answering in unison, everyone subconsciously walked out. Then they suddenly realized that they had unknowingly regarded Garashi as their leader. As expected of a leader from a parallel world. This kind of leadership is really scary. Anoki sighed in his heart. Rakage, on the other hand, was ashamed and annoyed. How could I subconsciously recognize him as my boss? When the crowd gradually dispersed, Naruto came up, rubbing his chest and said, Garashi, Dage, I seem to be sick. Well, senior brother, please take a look at Naruto. I didn't find anything wrong with him. Sakura said shyly. She thought Naruto was nauseous after hearing her words. Naruto raised his hand and said, actually, it's just now. It seems to be much better now. Sakura said nervously, could it be that Uchiha bordered soil did it? Didn't he want to catch Naruto? Maybe it's him. Garashi smiled. Needless to say, I already know what's going on. Senior brother, you know it so soon? Sakura's voice was sluggish, and she immediately looked at Garashi with admiration. She checked for so long and didn't find any problems, but her senior brother saw the crux of the problem at a glance. He was indeed the strongest medical ninja in the parallel world. He was even better than Tsunade-sensei. Sasuke, come here. Garashi waved his hand and asked Sasuke, who was eavesdropping, to come over. Hearing Garashi's voice, Sasuke hurriedly looked into the distance, pretending that he had just heard it, and then nodded reservedly. Others might not have noticed this small movement of his, but Karen, whose eyes were all on him, naturally noticed it. She immediately became nervous. Sasuke was secretly paying attention to someone else, and most likely it was that woman named Sakura. Seeing Sasuke coming, Naruto and Sakura both greeted him happily. However, Sasuke completely ignored Sakura's existence, walked straight to Naruto and raised his chin disdainfully. I heard that you participated in the battle to stop pain. I thought you had become a lot stronger, but I didn't expect you to be plotted against by that bastard. Sakura retracted her right hand with some disappointment, but she soon became happy again. As long as Sasuke is back. But this scene fell into Karen's eyes. It was almost horrifying. Could it be that the person Sasuke was secretly paying attention to wasn't Sakura? Then the person he was paying attention to was... Naruto scratched his head awkwardly. I don't know what happened? Sasuke snorted coldly. That kind of bastard can make you. Garashi interrupted. Sasuke, please take out Itachi's eyes. Sasuke was a little hesitant, but then he thought of the situation of Uchiha in the parallel world vaguely revealed by Garashi. After a little hesitation, he took out the glass bottle and handed it to Garashi. Suigetsu and the other two behind him were surprised. They all knew how indifferent Sasuke was, but they didn't expect him to trust a person he met for the first time. Looking at the glass bottle, Naruto's eyes widened, and he pressed his chest and vomited. Naruto, what's wrong with you? Sakura wanted to step forward to check, but Garashi held her shoulder. Don't move, just let him vomit it out. Hearing Garashi's voice, Sakura and Sasuke calmed down. Then they saw a crow with scarlet 3-tomo Sharingan flying out of Naruto's mouth. Sharingan? Crow. Sasuke's expression changed slightly, and he looked down at the eyes in the glass bottle. Ho, he finally vomited it out, but why is it a crow? Naruto looked at the crow standing on Garashi's shoulder in confusion, and suddenly realized, I remember, this is the power Itachi gave me to stop Sasuke, and also to protect him. Stop me? Protect me? Sasuke's face was distorted. That guy always throws me into nightmares, and when I wake up he says these beautiful words to me. What's the meaning of this? Sasuke. Everyone looked at him worriedly. Only Suigetsu rubbed his chin and muttered, so, it's not that Uchiha bordered Soil's plot, then the bastard Sasuke just said is... Sasuke suddenly turned back and his cold eyes made Suigetsu raise his hands. I didn't say anything, you didn't hear anything. Sasuke took a deep breath and forced himself to calm down. After Suigetsu's antics he couldn't get angry. Chapter 520. Naruto took the initiative to change the topic. Although Itachi said that he gave me the power to stop Sasuke, I actually don't know what this power is. It's called Kotoamatsukami Dojutsu. Garashi smiled and touched the crow's head. Kotoamatsukami Dojutsu? Naruto was shocked. Is it the dojutsu that Danzo intended to use on you, Garashi Dage, to modify your will? Danzo. Hearing this name, Sasuke's eyes turned cold. Garashi nodded. If I'm not wrong, Itachi should have implanted the Guardian Wood Leaf Jutsu in this crow. Once Sasuke chases power, transplants Itachi's eyes and confronts Naruto, the crow perceives Itachi's eyes, and will fly out of Naruto's mouth and apply Genjutsu to Sasuke to modify his will. Modify my will for Wood Leaf? Sasuke suppressed the anger in his heart. Suigetsu, you're right, that bastard is a scumbag. Suigetsu whispered, that's what you said. Naruto's expression was complicated. Sasuke, I think Itachi just doesn't want you to be hurt, and doesn't want you to live in hatred all the time. Sakura nodded seriously. A person who is still alive and wants to pave the way for you after death must be the person who wants you to be the best. Sasuke closed his eyes. Suigetsu, shut up. Suigetsu was dumbfounded. Did I speak? Without waiting for him to explain, Garashi patted Sasuke on the shoulder and said, it seems that there are many misunderstandings between you two brothers. Didn't Bordered Soil say that he will reincarnate the reincarnation of reincarnation? He knows how to reincarnate into the experts of the various villages. You can take this opportunity to have a chat with him. Sasuke's spirit was lifted. Yes, this is indeed a good opportunity. Naruto also looked forward to it. My father is Yondaime, he should also be reincarnated by Edo Tensei, right? Shushi shook his head slightly. I heard that Brother Minato of this time and space died after using Shiki Seijin. The Shiki Seijin and the Shiki Seijin will both be devoured by the Grim Reaper, and will forever hate and struggle in the Grim Reaper's stomach. Therefore, Edo Tensei can't resurrect him. Naruto suddenly felt lost. I thought, however, it's not like there's no way. Garashi suddenly changed the topic. I happen to know how to break the corpse ghost seal. Naruto was ecstatic. That's great. I remember that Sandaime also used Shiki Fujin to kill him. However, Xiaoying was a little hesitant. Edo Tensei is a forbidden technique and it's evil and cruel. Is it really okay to use it? Garashi explained seriously, Edo Tensei is indeed not a good ninjutsu, but it's a time of war now, and sticking to the form will only tilt the scales of victory in favor of the enemy. After all, war doesn't favor whoever is more righteous. Everyone was a little surprised. They didn't expect such realistic and practical words to come out of Garashi's mouth. Didn't Naruto always like to pay attention to truth, kindness, and beauty? As expected of the leader of another spacetime. His foresight is indeed not something that those rotten upper echelons can compare to. Sasuke praised in his heart and couldn't help but sigh. With such an open-minded leader, it's no wonder that the Uchiha of that world survived. Naruto scratched his head in confusion and said happily, "In short, since Garashi Dage said so, then there must be no problem." Xiaoying nodded thoughtfully. "Since senior brother said so, it's obvious that there's something wrong with my understanding. Senior brother, do we need to prepare anything to break the corpse ghost seal? We need the Shinigami mask left by the Uzumaki clan." Garashi said, "The mask of my spacetime is in the Uzumaki clan's ancestral hall outside Woodleaf. I don't know what this spacetime is like, but anyway, let's go to the ancestral hall first." Uzumaki clan. Karen silently touched the teeth marks on her arm. Naruto exclaimed, "By the way, Sandame Grandpa also sealed the souls of Shodame-sama and Shodame-sama. Can we summon all four Naruto this time?" Shodame Naruto and Shodame Naruto. Sasuke's eyes flashed coldly. "Naruto, I want to go with you." Naruto naturally didn't think much and said repeatedly, Okay. Garashi smiled and touched the crow's head. "It's reasonable to say that this crow is Itachi's relic. Can you give me its eyes?" Naruto nodded again and again. "Of course." Sasuke snorted and turned his head away. "I'm annoyed when I see this eye. Then I'll accept it." Garashi gently brushed the crow's left eye, and a ruby-like eye fell into his hand. "It's a pity that the crow will become one-eyed." The two little girls were a little sentimental and suddenly shouted in surprise. "Ah, the crow's eye?" Sasuke naturally didn't care about the fate of a crow. Hearing Karen and Sakura's exclamation, he looked over and then his pupils shrank. How is that possible? In the crow's left eye there was a normal eye instead of the Sharingan. A bold idea rose in everyone's heart. Was this eye created by Garashi? Sakura stuttered and asked, "Sure-sen, this eye is?" Garashi said calmly, "Oh, I created it." Garashi's answer was no less than a thunderclap in everyone's heart. This is already the domain of the gods, right? Although the resurrection ability of the Rinnegan is far more shocking than this, the power of dojutsu has long been deeply rooted in people's hearts. They only think that it's the power of the Kekkei Genkai, not how powerful the owner of the eye is. But Garashi, as an ordinary person, achieved the inhuman domain. The body of a mortal is comparable to a god. The impact on them is more shocking than seeing a god. Suigetsu's eyes lit up. "You must hold on to this big boss. It's hard to die by his side." Sakura was at a loss. Is this really the domain of medical ninjutsu? Garashi didn't care about everyone's reaction, but secretly thought in his heart. The activation time of Koto Amatsukami can be shortened by Hashirama's chakra. My current chakra quality is above Hashirama's. Naturally, I can do the same thing. However, what I want is not to shorten the activation time, but to strengthen the power of my eyes to the point where they can barely affect people at my level. Sakura was still a little muddle-headed until they set off for the village. On the other hand, Naruto was very calm. He didn't think there was anything wrong with the scene he saw before. Kakashi quietly asked, "Naruto, what's wrong with Sakura?" Naruto thought seriously and said, "Maybe she feels that her medical ninjutsu level is too bad. She can't even create eyes." Kakashi and Tsunade, who was eavesdropping, twitched their mouths. Medical ninjutsu can do this kind of thing? Yes. Naruto said, "Garashi Dage created eyes for a crow." It turned out to be him. If it was Garashi, the two of them wouldn't be surprised. Of course they were still shocked. After the shock, Tsunade suddenly said, "Kakashi, the power of your left eye is the same as that of bordered soil, right?" Kakashi nodded silently. Tsunade said in a deep voice, "Bordered soil is no longer the bordered soil in your memory. This eye has become a door to danger. If possible, find Garashi to reconstruct another eye." Chapter 521. Without waiting for Kakashi to speak, Tsunade said again, "Don't use the excuse of a decline in strength in a critical period. Manjikyu Sharingan is very strong, but it's a limitation for you." Kakashi opened his mouth and finally said firmly, "This eye is the bond between bordered soil me and Rin. Although bordered soil is no longer what I remember, if I give up the bond, I won't even have the last hope to save him. Tsunade sighed. I knew it would be like this. I won't try to persuade you, but you must be careful. The Manjikyu Sharingan is at its strongest when it gathers a pair. In order to achieve this, Obito is likely to sneak attack you. Kakashi nodded. I will be careful. After that, he changed the topic. Naruto, you said you were going to the Uzumaki clan's ancestral hall? Naruto replied, yes, Garashi, Dage will take us to release the souls of the 4 Naruto sealed in Shinigami's body, and then reincarnate them into Edo Tensei and become our force. Kakashi and Tsunade's eyes widened again. Why did he say such an important thing now? They weren't as worried as Sakura, but they were a little confused. Can the sealed souls be released? Garashi Dage said it can be done. Although they didn't get along for too long, Garashi showed all kinds of magic and care for them, which was enough for Naruto to take his words as a standard. Not only him, but even Kakashi nodded without any doubt. Since Garashi-sama said it, there should be no problem. Tsunade was lost in her memories. Grandpa, second grandpa, Tsunade-sama, Tsunade-sama? Hearing Kakashi's voice, Tsunade came back to her senses. Kakashi, let's go with them. Kakashi only hesitated for a moment. Well, the 4 Naruto will return to the village together. It must bring more shock to everyone in the village, and it will make everyone realize the seriousness of the problem faster. Then the group of people rushed to the Uzumaki clan's ancestral hall. For the first time in more than 10 years, the ancestral hall, which was usually cold and desolate, was filled with vitality. Looking at the strange masks on the wall, Karen and Naruto didn't feel afraid. Instead, they felt a sense of intimacy. Garashi took the mask off the wall and said, the way to unlock the Ghoul Seal is to first use the Ghoul Seal to summon the Grim Reaper to possess the caster, then cut open the caster's lower abdomen. The Grim Reaper will do the same thing as the caster, and the seal will be unlocked. With that, Garashi put on the mask. When they saw this, everyone who was still trying to understand the meaning behind Garashi's words suddenly recovered from their shock and hurriedly tried to dissuade him. Wait, Garashi, are you planning to become a sacrifice? Lord Garashi, this is too dangerous. That's the Grim Reaper who harvests lives? Garashi raised his hand and swung the knife down. He was still in the mood to comfort everyone. Don't worry, it won't affect me. After the Grim Reaper's stomach was cut open, dozens of souls flew out like a deflated balloon. As for Garashi, the wound on his lower abdomen healed instantly. If they didn't look at the Grim Reaper, everyone would think that the previous belly cutting was their illusion. Then the Grim Reaper, who had shrunk a lot, began to collect the sacrifices, dragging behind Garashi as if he wanted to pull out Garashi's soul. However, Garashi didn't feel the slightest difference. Instead, the Grim Reaper's soul light dimmed a lot. Garashi looked back at the Grim Reaper and knocked on the mask. The Grim Reaper was silent for a moment and consciously returned to the mask. Seeing this, everyone was silent. For some reason, they actually read a sense of grievance from this Grim Reaper. For a moment, they actually sympathized with this poor Grim Reaper. Even the legendary Grim Reaper who harvests lives is afraid of him. How is this comparable to the gods? He's simply beyond the gods. Suigetsu shouted frantically in his heart. Sasuke also took a deep breath, and had a deeper understanding of the ultimate horror mentioned by Karen before. After dealing with the Grim Reaper, Garashi walked to Sasuke's side, pressed his right hand on his shoulder, and inputted Senjutsu Chakra. Soon, 6 white Zetsu were expelled from Sasuke's body. Those who didn't know would think that Sasuke hadn't bathed for a few years and had fungi growing on his body. This disgusting scene made everyone frown. Why does Sasuke have such things on his body? Sasuke's eyes were gloomy. These guys were left in my body by Uchiha bordered soil to monitor me? These white Zetsu exclaimed, how can you find us? Garashi didn't answer and said to himself, in this way the sacrifices for Edo Tensei are ready. Souls, sacrifices, only the genetic information of the 4 people are left. Genetic information? Tsunade asked. Then, are we going back to Woodleaf to dig the grave now? Garashi shook his head. There's no need to go through so much trouble. According to the information you gave me, there should be someone who likes to collect these things. He should have the genetic information of the 4 Naruto in his hands. With such an obvious characteristic, everyone quickly reacted. Orochimaru. As an early big boss, Orochimaru left a deep impression on everyone. Garashi nodded. That's him. Suigetsu asked nervously, isn't he dead? Sasuke had a complicated expression. He was killed by me once and then by Itachi again. In the end, even his soul was sealed in the Totsuka sword. Use Itachi's eyes to temporarily release him. Suigetsu and Karen suddenly trembled and screamed, "Wait, that's Orochimaru." Yugo held the two down. "With Garashi-sama here, what are you afraid of?" The two were startled. "That's right, there's no need to be afraid in this situation." Sasuke silently took out the glass bottle and used his dojutsu to activate the eyes in the bottle. Although he didn't have time to transplant the eyes, he and Itachi were brothers. Now he just needed to summon the Totsuka sword a little. He could still use his dojutsu to activate it. The next moment, a long sword burning with flames appeared in his hand. He waved it and a slime-like monster fell from the center of the flames. "Hee, I didn't expect that I would be resurrected one day." The slime gradually took shape, and a strange laughter came from the monster's mouth. Suigetsu and Karen hurriedly hid behind Sasuke. Although they said they weren't afraid, the fear deep in their hearts was obviously not so easy to eliminate. Hee, there are some familiar faces. Sasuke, Naruto, Tsunade, Kakashi. Although surrounded by so many people, Orochimaru didn't have the slightest fear. He still laughed arrogantly, only pausing when his eyes swept over someone. This man gave him a feeling of fear. This was a fear that he didn't even experience from Uchiha Itachi. "Who are you? I don't think I've seen you before." Without waiting for Shushi to speak, Suigetsu stepped forward. "The one standing before you is the Lord of the Otherworld, the God of Ninjas, the Lord of Hades who tore apart the Grim Reaper, the leader of peace and hope, Shimizu Shushi." Chapter 522. Orochimaru's eyes narrowed, and Suigetsu instantly retreated behind Sasuke. He only poked his head out and pointed at Garashi and shouted, "If you have the ability, stare at this big boss." Although Suigetsu stared back, Orochimaru's heart was actually set off a storm. Suigetsu is indeed unreliable, but Tsunade and Kakashi have no reason to accompany him. Their tacit behavior explains a lot in itself. Thinking of this, Orochimaru temporarily suppressed his madness and asked with a smile, "You resurrected me, it shouldn't be as simple as catching up with me, right?" Sasuke's voice was indifferent. "Hand over the genetic information of the four Naruto, you should have it, right?" Genetic information? Edo Tensei. Orochimaru's pupils suddenly became vertical, and he began to look around the environment. Uzumaki clan ancestral temple, Shinigami mask. Tsk, has it come to this step? It's really not simple. With that said, Orochimaru opened his mouth fiercely, his throat squirmed, and a scroll covered with disgusting liquid was spat out from his mouth. As expected of Orochimaru, he's always disgusting. Everyone was amazed by Orochimaru's traditional skills. Orochimaru spread the scroll on the ground and made a hand seal. The next moment, 4 lumps of flesh appeared on the scroll. Orochimaru asked with a smile, "Do you need me to do Edo Tensei?" "No need." Garashi clapped his hands. "Edo Tensei?" Naruto was shocked. "It turns out that Edo Tensei is the same as my Rasengan, a mute ninjutsu?" Orochimaru laughed. "Naruto, you're still the same as before, you haven't changed at all." "Really? I think I've changed a lot. I've become more handsome and mature." Sasuke couldn't stand it anymore. "Idiot, he's scolding you for not making any progress in 3 years. Naruto's eyes widened. "Why didn't I make any progress? Even Sakura saw my harem jutsu." "Idiot. Shut up." Xiaoying was both embarrassed and angry as she warned her with an iron fist. Orochimaru ignored their noises and hissed, "Such a high-level sealing technique doesn't even require any hand seals." "Shueisha, now I somewhat understand what you said." In this half-noisy, half-expectant atmosphere, a gentle breeze blew away the dust, and 4 figures of Naruto appeared in front of everyone, slowly opening their eyes. "What's going on? Another Edo Tensei?" Hashirama looked at his hands and muttered to himself. "Is it that ninja named Orochimaru again?" Tobirama looked unhappy. "Even the corpse demon seal has been undone. He has become even more terrifying than before." Hiruzen sighed. At this time, Orochimaru laughed in a hoarse voice. "Although the genetic information of Naruto was provided by me, the person who resurrected you was not me." Hearing Orochimaru's voice, the 4 of them recovered from their stupor and looked around. Tsunade stepped forward excitedly. Grandpa. Hashirama's eyes widened in disbelief. "You're Kazuna?" Tsunade nodded repeatedly. "It's me." "Ah, it seems that you've grown up very well." Hashirama laughed with his hands on his waist. Naruto rushed to the other side. Dad. Naruto, you've grown up too, Minato said, and the smile on his face froze. Your eyes? Naruto, with dark circles under his eyes, glanced at Sakura and smiled. This is the price of growing up. Minato naturally noticed Naruto's small movements and thought of Shina Kushina. He couldn't help but pat him on the shoulder. Yes, this is growing up. Hashirama suddenly sensed Kyuubi's chakra and looked at the father and son. Who are you? Why do you have Kyuubi's aura in your body? Minato turned around and pointed to the big characters behind him with his thumb. I'm Yondaime Naruto. As for Kyuubi, when Kyuubi was rioting, I used the corpse demon seal to seal it in my son and me. Huh. Kyuubi actually wants to use? Hashirama said and was elbowed by Tobirama. Then he reacted and changed the topic with a smile. Wow. It's actually Yondaime. It seems that the village has been peaceful for a long time. Tobirama looked around and finally locked his eyes on Garashi. Young man, did you summon us? Garashi nodded. Sorry to disturb the four Naruto. Not to disturb anyway, we can't rest in Shinigami's body, but... Tobirama's eyes were cold. Why did you summon us? Also, who are you? My name is Shimizu Garashi. As for identity, I'm Naruto. Hearing Garashi's words, Hashirama was excited. You're also Naruto. Are you the Yondaime? Garashi smiled and shook his head. No, the Yondaime is Tsunade-sensei. Ha! Hashirama's face drooped and asked in a long voice, Katsuna is also Naruto? Have the excellent ninjas in the village withered to this point? Tsunade stared. Grandpa, what are you talking about? I'm also very good, okay? Hashirama was excited. Really? Have you quit gambling? This? Tsunade's eyes drifted. Excellent ninjas can also have some small flaws. Tobirama ignored the two and looked at Garashi with a lot of softness. Then you're the Yondaime? My Naruto may be a little different from what you understand. I'm Naruto in a parallel world. Parallel world? The four Naruto and Orochimaru were shocked and asked in disbelief. Is it a spacetime similar to our world? It's almost like that, Garashi said seriously. It's suspected that someone from this spacetime smuggled into my world and set off the Shinobi World War. After I settled the war because I was worried about that person's actions, I chased him to this world. Now, as I thought, the war has begun again and we need the help of Naruto. Hashirama was filled with righteous indignation and immediately said, Of course, as long as Woodleaf still needs me, I'm ready to fight for everyone at any time. Tobirama's eyes were deep. The war has just begun, and it's already to the point of using Edo Tensei. It seems that the situation is more serious than I thought. Tsunade nodded. This war is no longer a battle between villages, but a battle between evil organizations that intend to destroy the world and the entire shinobi world. It's burning. Hashirama clenched his fists. The blood in my body is already burning. Burn it later. Tobirama reprimanded and then looked at Tsunade. Big brother and I will fight with you. Hiruzen and Minato also stood up. Naruto and Sakura were excited. It's so exciting to fight with the Sendaime Naruto. Seeing that they finished their discussion, Sasuke couldn't help but say, Now that you're done, it's my turn to ask questions. Looking at Hashirama, Sasuke asked him politely. Let me ask you, why is Uchiha being targeted and what is Itachi doing? Chapter 523. So you already know. Hiruzen sighed with a complicated expression. Itachi died in my hands and then I learned about his past from some people. Sasuke suddenly looked up at Sandaime, but I still want to hear everything about Itachi from you. Hiruzen sighed and said, He's a smart child. At the age of 7 he could think like Naruto. He has a concept that transcends the narrowness of his clan. Not only that, his talent is as good as his thinking, and he always perfectly completes the tasks given by the village. Therefore, I also gave him the task of stopping the Uchiha's rebellion, and he didn't let me down. He killed his compatriots to stop the rebellion, and with his own strength, he nipped the possible war in the bud, and joined the Akatsuki as a spy. His only request is that I will protect you in the village. Sure enough. Haha. Sasuke laughed nervously. This bastard is always like this. Garashi suddenly sighed. This world is really sick. Sandaime frowned slightly. Garashi, Samayu, Garashi said seriously, Woodleaf Village has been established for so many years, and the only clan that rebelled was the Uchiha. Is it because they are more ambitious than the other clans? Sandaime said calmly, As long as there are some wolves, it's enough. Those who believe in Madara's ideas will lead the entire Uchiha clan to the abyss. No, it's you who led the Uchiha clan to the abyss, Sandame. Orochimaru laughed. Thanks to Naidame-sama's policy, the Uchiha clan served as guards, and the higher-ups set up the police department and the prison in the name of monitoring the criminals, and blatantly drove them to the corner of the village. Being treated like this, of course, will encourage the growth of those rebellious thoughts. Hashirama looked at Tobirama with dissatisfaction. Didn't I tell you? Trust is the cornerstone of the village. Tobirama frowned. The Uchiha are not trustworthy. Just like the Uchiha in my previous world, they were forced to rebel against the Uchiha clan. Shueisha sighed. Sandame asked curiously, Garashi-sama, how did you deal with it? Garashi said, on the day they were about to start the rebellion, I went to the place where they gathered and beat them up, and then announced that their environment would be improved, and that's about it. Everyone was dumbfounded. They had thought that Shushi would come up with some ingenious plan to resolve the conflict. Who knew that it was so simple and violent? Sandame's eyes widened. You beat the entire Uchiha clan alone? Garashi nodded. If the rebellion news spread, the Uchiha clan will no longer have a foothold in the village, so I have to suppress them myself. Sandame, Sasuke. Sasuke was deeply moved. In order for the Uchiha to not be marginalized, Sushi-sama actually risked his life alone. Compared to Shuishi-sama, Konoha's higher-ups and his brother are all trash. Garashi continued, the reason why I feel that the world is sick in addition to being forced to rebel, is because of Uchiha Itachi's ridiculous approach. Sandame asked, is there a problem with Itachi's approach? Garashi said, even if it's to stop the rebellion at most he would kill the main fighting force, right? Those children and the elderly, where did they get the ability to rebel? Instead of saying that he's stopping the rebellion, it's better to say that he's immersed in the wishful thinking of protecting Sasuke. Yes. Why did he kill those old people and children? Naruto frowned and his impression of Itachi instantly fell to the bottom. Suigetsu shrunk his neck and thought, these two brothers are really ruthless, even more ruthless than if you don't kill, senpai. Sasuke gritted his teeth, he didn't know what kind of attitude to face that man. Is Itachi really stopping the rebellion? Or is he using the pretext of stopping the rebellion to eliminate the threat in advance and put him in a state of absolute safety? Garashi sighed, it's obviously an unreasonable thing but no one has ever raised an objection. Such a wrong and chaotic concept is the root of the world's disease. Hiruzen and Minato were deep in thought, Tobirama frowned, and Hashirama clapped his hands excitedly. Madara, such a kind person, was rejected because he was too dark, and eventually went on the road of destruction. Sure enough, it's because everyone has a problem. Garashi said, perhaps changing everyone's concept is my mission in this time and space. Rain Country's underground base on the fingertip of the Gedo Mazo. Bordered Soil looked up at the 7 eyes of the Gedo Mazo that had opened and asked calmly, Hachibi's octopus foot, plus the Kyubi chakra of the Ginkaku and Ginkaku, should be able to revive the Jubi, right? Black Zetsu stood beside him and asked, are you going to use the Jubi from the beginning? Bordered Soil said calmly, maybe it's a good choice to directly transform into a Jinchuriki. No. Black Zetsu was surprised, you just transplanted the Rinnegan and you haven't had time to adapt to its power. If you merge with the Jubi so quickly, you may not be able to suppress its consciousness. Bordered Soil said in a deep voice, Kakashi exposed my identity that man saw through my heart, and even White Zetsu who was monitoring Sasuke, was discovered by them and used as a sacrifice for the Edo Tensei. These things gave me a bad feeling, and it's always right to be prepared in advance. Black Zetsu nodded, indeed we should be careful. By the way, Kabuto is now preparing to revive Madara-sama, shall we go out and see his demonstration? Madara? Bordered Soil squinted, I lost his eyes and I have to apologize to him in person. Outside, a row of coffins was lined up. Kabuto sat on the ground, shaking his tail, and his eyes flashed with excitement. It's really exciting, a powerful ninja will be resurrected in my hands, and controlling them is equivalent to controlling the whole world. With that, he said with some regret, it's a pity that Orochimaru-sama is sealed, otherwise the Edo Tensei Orochimaru-sama would be the best choice. As the seal was completed, the coffin lid fell down. A powerful figure came out of the coffin. Huh? Am I not already dead? Kakuzu looked down at his hands. This is Edo Tensei? Itachi's voice was low. Edo Tensei? Sasori asked calmly, compared with my current state, which one is more eternal? I don't know, but it's definitely better than before. Deidara complained, then looked at the white-haired Nagato. Brother, who are you? Aren't we here for the Akatsuki's post-death gathering? Nagato glanced at him. I'm your leader. Deidara was startled. Boss Pain, you wouldn't have been drained to death, right? You look so weak. I've long heard that some people catch men as stud horses for strong Kekkei Genkai, but I didn't expect you to be killed. Chapter 524. Nagato was stunned. At first he didn't understand what Deidara meant. After a while he shouted angrily. Idiot, that's my clone. This is my real body, Nagato. Oh, it's a clone. Deidara nodded thoughtfully. No wonder those clones like to stick nails in their bodies. I thought you were a masochist. Nagato's mouth twitched. He didn't think Deidara was so crazy before. Deidara put his arm around his shoulder and said, Chief, tell me how you died. A look of dread appeared in Nagato's eyes. I was forced to commit suicide. The four people were shocked. With their leader's strength, he was forced to commit suicide. Who had this ability? Just as they were about to continue to ask, the lid of the last coffin fell down. Boom. A man with a flowing hairstyle came out of it. It turned out to be the Edo Tensei. It seems that there are some changes in the plan. Madara said to himself. Deidara looked at him. Whose real body are you? Conan? Zetsu? Or Hashitake Haiden? Nagato's forehead was blue. How could it be Conan? Your guess is more reliable. Deidara waved his hand. It's better to disguise yourself when you're different from the real body. For example, you look weak. Who knows you're the leader if you don't say it? In the same way, the ethereal and beautiful Conan may be the disguise of a muscular man. Nagato couldn't bear it and sent him flying out with a Shinra Tensei. Madara looked at him coldly and said in his heart. Nagato is dead. The plan really deviated. At this time Itachi suddenly asked, Are you Uchiha Madara? This name attracted the attention of the other four people in an instant. Especially Nagato, he was even more surprised. If this person is Uchiha Madara, then who has been manipulating everything behind the scenes? Madara looked at Itachi's eyes and said coldly, Good eyes. This arrogant tone made Deidara somewhat uncomfortable. Why do we have to add an outsider to our Akatsuki's underworld gathering? I'm really sorry. Kabuto laughed. I brought you all out just to prove my abilities to someone. Scorpion looked at his former subordinate. How did you become like this? Pocket laughed in a creepy voice. Isn't that good? After merging with Orochi Murusama, I finally found the meaning of my existence. The corner of Scorpion's mouth twitched, and he secretly rejoiced in his heart. Fortunately, Bai betrayed him. Otherwise, if Bai dug out his corpse and put it on himself, he felt disgusted just thinking about it. At this time, a spatial vortex appeared, and the bordered soil stepped out, appearing in front of everyone. Seeing that Hoodlum was not dead, Deidara was somewhat happy. After all, he killed Uchiha Sasuke with his kamikaze, so the person he should apologize to the most is Hoodlum. Ha, Hoodlum, you're really lucky. Yes, thanks to Deidara Senpai's blessing. By the way, Sasuke is not dead. Deidara instantly became irritable. What? My ultimate art didn't kill him. Where's the praise for me, the unprecedented praise for my art? The bordered soil sighed. Where's the praise for a loser? It's more like ridicule. Deidara was mad. Ah, my art. Don't provoke him, be careful that he will explode. Kabuto laughed. What should I call you? Hoodlum, Madara, or the Uchiha bordered soil? Madara frowned slightly. The identity of the bordered soil guy was completely exposed? Uchiha bordered soil? The 5 people of the Akatsuki were a little surprised. He was also an Uchiha. A name is just a code name. You can call me whatever you want. The bordered soil didn't care, looked at everyone and said, I have officially declared war on the shinobi world. It's time for you to join me. Deidara recovered from his madness and was a little moved. I didn't expect that the person who carried the will of the Akatsuki would be you, a newcomer. Kabuto smiled. He's not a newcomer, to be precise. He's the real leader of the Akatsuki. Hoodlum leader? Deidara recalled Hoodlum's antics and laughed like thunder. Ha, how can a fool like him be the leader? The bordered soil's mouth twitched. Although this was a praise for his acting skills, he still felt offended. Nagato timely said, He's indeed the person behind the scenes. He didn't say the leader. In his eyes, the leader of the Akatsuki can only be Yahiko. In the chaos of the Kyuubi, there were traces of the Sharingan's manipulation, so the higher-ups suspected my father, Now it seems that the person who really led all of this is probably him. Itachi secretly analyzed. I didn't expect that after my death, the person who took over my position turned out to be the real leader of the Akatsuki. Sasori was also a little surprised. Just when they were surprised and ready to get to the bottom of it, Madara said impatiently, "Enough with the nonsense. Bordered soil, how is the collection of the tailed beasts?" Hearing Madara's question, several people were surprised again. How did Madara know about their collection of tailed beasts? There is also the relationship between Madara and bordered soil, which is also very concerning. Bordered soil replied, "The one-tailed beasts are collected. As for the Hachibi and the Kyubi, there is also a backup chakra, which can barely push the implementation of the plan. With your strength, collecting the Hachibi and the Kyubi will be hindered. It seems that this era is more interesting than I thought." Madara raised his eyebrows and immediately smiled arrogantly. "However, since I'm resurrected, I'll directly push them." Bordered soil kindly reminded, "Hashirama may have been resurrected by Woodleaf's people." Madara's eyes lit up. "Very good. It's time to change the world's impression of the Battle of the Valley of the End. Not only him but also..." Seeing that the situation seemed to be out of his control, Kabuto coughed twice. "I have to remind you that I'm the leader of the Edo Tensei. It's best that your plan doesn't proceed without me, the leader." However, bordered soil just looked at him calmly. Madara laughed loudly. "Kid, no one told you about the risks of the Edo Tensei?" "Risk?" Kabuto laughed. "Isn't the risk that I may be too famous and easy to be targeted? As long as you know the seal, the dead who are called back from the Edo Tensei can actively lift the summoning contract, just like this." Madara said and began to print. Kabuto was shocked and hurriedly controlled Madara's body. However, Madara's consciousness was stronger than he imagined. Even if he had absorbed the Orochimaru chakra in the Anko seal and strengthened his control of the Edo Tensei, he still couldn't take control of Madara's body in a short time. And this time was enough for Madara to complete the printing. Edo Tensei release. Suddenly, a powerful momentum erupted from Madara's body. Looking at Madara, who suddenly erupted with great power, and even cracked the ground with his own momentum, several people of Akatsuki were shocked. He is indeed a legendary ninja. I feel a little bit. After Madara released the Edo Tensei, he moved his body and looked at Kabuto. With just a glance, Kabuto fell into an ice cave. However, he didn't do anything to Kabuto but said coldly, "Forbidden techniques can't be abused." Then, side by side with bordered soil, he walked to the place where he perceived the Gedo Mazo. Chapter 525. When the figures of bordered soil and Madara disappeared from sight, Kabuto's shoulders trembled as he smiled. As expected of Uchiha Madara, I'm looking forward to this cooperation more and more. Seeing that Madara got rid of the control of the Edo Tensei, Itachi's thoughts began to diverge. If Shirsue's eyes haven't had time to use their power, maybe he can use it on me. At this time, Deidara continued the previous topic and asked, "By the way, Pain, who is the person who forced you to die?" Nagato's expression was dignified. "I don't know him, and there is no record of him in the organization's intelligence network. He appeared out of thin air and saved Woodleaf as a savior." Although they were a little surprised after experiencing the change of the identity of bordered soil, they were not too shocked. After all, even the Akatsuki organization they belong to can suddenly have a behind-the-scenes person, so it's not unacceptable for the ninja world to have a few more mysterious strong people. However, what Kabuto said next made their faces change. I really don't know that man, but the person who followed him as a guard and even had 3 Kekiai Genkai and Mokutan, is somewhat similar to a person in my memory. The person in my memory was an abandoned child abandoned by Orochi Maru as an experimental subject for curses and drugs. After being caught, his body quickly withered and aged until he died. Because those experiments were done by me, so I have some impression of him. That man's strength is indeed very strong. Nagato recalled and then asked, is it just a similar appearance? Kabuto licked the corner of his mouth and smiled. If it's just a similar appearance I won't mention it, but the key is that their names are exactly the same. Everyone's pupils shrank and they didn't speak anymore. In front of the ghetto Mazo, Madara crossed his arms and said indifferently. It seems that a lot of changes have happened in the years since I died. You and I can talk about it in detail. Bordered Soil said, the biggest change before should be Uzumaki Naruto, the Kyuubi Jinchuriki of this era. Many of Akatsuki's operations have been sabotaged by him or people related to him, resulting in the delay of our plans. We can only achieve our goals through war. Kyuubi Jinchuriki? Madara smiled contemptuously. Oh, it's just a little fox, it's not a big problem. Bordered Soil continued, then there's the man named Shimizu Garashi who recently appeared out of nowhere. He's mysterious and powerful like a ghost walking out of the fog. He easily defeated Nagato, and I don't know where he got the information about the Rinnegan, but he forced Nagato to use the ghetto reincarnation technique to resurrect the ninjas killed during the invasion of Woodleaf. Defeated Nagato? Madara frowned and asked. He took away the Rinnegan? Bordered Soil shook his head slightly. No, he let Konan take away Nagato's complete body. Hearing that Rinnegan was fine, Madara's eyebrows stretched. It's not a big problem. What else? Bordered Soil smiled. I exchanged eyes with a mysterious existence. It's just an exchange of eyes, the problem is... Wait, what did you say? Whose eyes? Madara asked. Although I also want to exchange my eyes, that existence doesn't like it. Bordered Soil calmly took off his mask, and the strange wheel-shaped Rinnegan in his left eye made Madara uneasy. What about my eyes? Bordered Soil was cast by Aizen's Genjutsu. He didn't feel anything, but Madara's will was very clear. The sudden appearance of the Rinnegan made him feel out of control, as if there were a pair of big hands behind his back. Madara gritted his teeth and said, it's a big problem. What's going on? Bordered Soil looked at him calmly. Your eyes were left with a back door. The space of the psychic chakra weapon is actually the residence of a mysterious existence. I accidentally found his existence and reached a cooperation agreement with him to exchange Rinnegan. Madara was silent, digesting the huge information in Bordered Soil's words, and asked after a long time. With your strength, can you reach a cooperation with someone who has Rinnegan? Bordered Soil pondered. He's not in a good state. It's like he's avoiding some kind of existence, and he doesn't want to have a conflict with me. Madara narrowed his eyes, and for the first time he felt that the water of the ninja world seemed to be much deeper than he thought. Bordered Soil continued. Rinnegan is just part of the plan. As long as I become the Jinchuriki of the Jubi, even if he has any calculations he can't change the outcome. Madara's pupils shrank. Bordered Soil seems to intend to make himself the Jubi's Jinchuriki. Oh, you're out of my control? Madara's mouth was slightly raised. You're right, I'll help you get the Kyuubi back. Bordered Soil nodded. It's great that you're willing to help. After that he turned and left. Looking at the direction where Bordered Soil left, Madara was silent for a long time and went to a dark corner. Black Zetsu. Black Zetsu poked his head out of the ground. Madara-sama, welcome back. Madara asked in a deep voice. Bordered Soil's eyes. Do you know what's going on? Black Zetsu lowered his voice and said, because the negotiation location is in the space controlled by the mysterious existence, I can't enter, but judging from some of the performances after Bordered Soil, he shouldn't be lying. Madara was silent for a moment and suddenly laughed. I thought that only Hashirama could give me some excitement in this resurrection. Now it seems that I can finally experience the feeling of making my blood boil. Come on, let's see who can laugh in the end. With the joint support of the 5 great ninja villages, the entire ninja world was operating like a high-speed war machine. The news of the Fourth Ninja World War quickly spread throughout the ninja world, and almost all ninjas were nervously preparing for the war. For a while, the price of various explosive tags, soldier food pills, and blood-increasing pills rose, but the supply still fell short of the demand. In front of the door of Woodleaf's store, many ninjas were complaining and protesting. Where are the explosive tags? I've been running for a few streets, why haven't I seen any explosive tags? Which bastard bought so many explosive talismans for? Just as the shop assistants were apologizing, Tian, who was hugging a large scroll, rushed into the shop. Everyone stop arguing. Although the explosive charms are sold out, I've got something even better. Hearing her say this, the crowd stopped the commotion and asked all at once. Is there anything better than explosive tags? Is it the super explosive tag? I heard that the Akatsuki's bomber used to be a member of Rock Crypsis. Is it his work? Don't talk, listen to Tian boss. Tian spread the scroll on the ground and made a seal, and countless small scrolls appeared in an instant, piling up in the grocery store. Dang. The answer is the Supreme Deluxe Medical Scroll. Chapter 526. After Tian revealed the answer, the scene became very awkward. Everyone was a little confused and whispered to each other. What is this? It sounds expensive. The name is too long, I don't want to hear it. Tian boss, can your scroll explode? Although Shushi had taught Sakura and Sakai how to make medical scrolls, they had only been apart for 15 days. After coming to this world, they had been constantly on the move. Naturally, they did not have enough time to make medical scrolls shine in this world. Tian waved her hand in disgust. Why do you always think about explosions? Of course, healing is more important than explosions. Healing? Isn't there a blood-increasing pill? Tian put her hands on her hips. How can a blood-increasing pill compare to a real medical ninjutsu? Can it be compared with the medical ninjutsu of the strongest medical ninja who saved Konoha from the reign of healing? Hearing Tian mention that person, everyone's eyes lit up, and their breathing became rapid. That was the strongest medical ninjutsu that even Tsunade-sama admitted was inferior to. At that time, many of them had internal organs ruptured, but they were still saved. Thinking of this, everyone hurriedly asked, this scroll is equivalent to that person's medical ninjutsu? Yes. Tian nodded proudly, then added, but only the Supreme Deluxe Edition belongs to that person. Tsunade-sama's is the Deluxe Edition, Tsunade-sama's disciples and some famous medical ninjutsu have the VIP Edition, and finally the Ordinary Edition. Without waiting for her to finish, everyone shouted. Give me 10 copies of the Supreme Deluxe Edition. I want 20 copies of the Supreme Edition. Seeing the crowd surging, Tian didn't have time to be proud and tried to persuade them. Everyone, there's no need to buy the Supreme Edition. Generally, it's enough to buy the ordinary version. If you can't participate in high-level battles, using the Supreme Edition is actually a waste, and the price of the Supreme Edition is much more expensive than the others. However, her persuasion couldn't dispel everyone's enthusiasm at all. In their eyes, those weren't scrolls but lives. If it were any other ninja village, they might not have been so fanatical. But for the people of Konoha who had just experienced a disaster not long ago, and were finally rescued by Shursui, that Sama was the authority of authority. Of course, they wouldn't consider any other version. Someone in the crowd suddenly asked, why didn't we have this scroll before? Tian subconsciously replied, it was developed by Sir Garashi, so of course, as soon as the words came out of her mouth, she knew that something was wrong. The identity of the strongest medical ninja and the developer was too stimulating. Sure enough, the eyes of the people at the front were green with envy. Wait everyone, don't be rash. Tian was still making her final struggle. Then she was drowned by the crowd. Woodleaf Hospital. Xiaoying was focused and working overtime to make medical scrolls. Xiaoying, hearing that it was Tian's voice, Xiaoying said without turning her head, Tian, don't be noisy. Xiaoying, please give me a supreme healing scroll. Don't you already have a cart full of scrolls? Why are you still asking me for it? Tian weakly said, this time it's for myself. For yourself? Xiaoying stopped what she was doing and turned around in confusion. Then she saw Tian standing behind her with shoe prints all over her face. She couldn't help but scream in shock. Ah! What happened to you? Is Akatsuki attacking again? Tian cried out, it's the customers. Those customers are too cruel. Xiaoying smiled, they seem to be quite cruel. Tian Tian pitifully said, seeing that I'm so pitiful, can you give me more of tomorrow's share? Xiaoying was angry and amused. I was wondering why you didn't wash your face. So you came to me to open the back door. Tian Tian said with conviction, this should be considered a work injury, right? Xiaoying helplessly face-bombed, why did you buy so many goods? Don't tell me that a rich woman like you is lacking money? Of course I'm lacking. Tian Tian's eyes were full of resentment. Your battle losses are nothing more than a few shurikens, kunai, and a few explosive talismans. What about me? One battle can make a middle-class family go bankrupt. Xiaoying's mouth twitched. Can't you use a less expensive battle method? It's a good opportunity to train yourself. I won't. Tian Tian firmly refused. I earned money through hard work. Why should I train? Xiaoying was defeated and was speechless for a moment. Fortunately, someone from San Crypsis came to save her. Temari appeared at the door and rushed forward. Xiaoying, Tian Tian? Were you beaten up? We'll talk about Tian Tian later. Xiaoying quickly interrupted the spell. Temari, why didn't you prepare for battle at San Crypsis? Why did you come to Woodleaf? You're still talking about it? Temari complained. Our two villages were allies before forming the Ninja Alliance. Now that you have something good, you don't even share it with us. You mean the medical scrolls? Yes. You guys are really well informed. Xiaoying complained and said helplessly, we don't even have enough medical scrolls for ourselves. We have to supply them to the ninjas in the village first. Of course I know that, so. Temari put her hands together to please. Can you tell us how to make the medical scrolls? Xiaoying was a bit embarrassed. I really can't make the decision about the medical scrolls because it was senior brother who taught us. That leader? Temari's face was full of awe. She participated in the 5 Kages conference as a guard, so she naturally knew about the great achievements of that lord. Of course she respected the hero who stopped the war with his own strength and changed the era. Xiaoying, please introduce me to Garashi-sama. I will ask him myself. Temari said seriously. Okay, come with me. Xiaoying took Temari and walked a few steps forward to Garashi's temporary office. Senior brother, San Crypsis' special envoy Temari wants to see you. Come in. The two walked in and saw that the scrolls in the room were already piled up like a mountain. Garashi took a blank scroll and immediately completed the ninjutsu without any pause. Temari's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. This efficiency was too exaggerated. He was simply a human money printing machine. Xiaoying's heart ached. Senior brother, you should also rest. No matter how strong you are, you won't be able to handle this kind of high-intensity work. Garashi's hands didn't stop working. The smile on his face was as warm as the sun. Every scroll I make can save one more life. It's worth it even if I'm a bit tired. Temari was moved. The worship in her eyes almost solidified. She knew that Garashi wasn't putting on a show. The mountain of scrolls was the best proof. Moreover, she didn't think that a strong person like Garashi would need to put on a show for her. In addition, this attitude of working tirelessly reminded her of her father who was a Kazekage but was actually a worker. Temari. Xiaoying reminded in a small voice. Temari woke up from her memories and hurriedly said, Garashi-sama, I hope you can teach us how to make the medical scrolls. For this we are willing to pay any price. There's no need for this. Garashi suddenly paused. His eyes narrowed. Something interesting seems to have happened on the main body's side. Chapter 527. Seeing that Garashi suddenly fell into silence, the two didn't dare to disturb him and just waited quietly. After a while, Garashi smiled apologetically. Sorry, I was distracted. About the method of making medical scrolls, you can spread it freely. Helping others with your work is the highest praise for a medical ninja. Temari bowed excitedly. Thank you, Garashi-sama. She sighed in her heart. No wonder Garashi-sama can become the leader of the parallel universe. Just this breadth of mind is enough to make them follow him. For a moment she was a little envious of the people in that world. Garashi chuckled softly. You're welcome. Although I'm not a person of this time and space, I'm the same as you in terms of feelings. After that, Garashi looked to the side. Sakura, I'll trouble you to teach them. Sakura replied loudly, yes, I promise to complete the task. After the two left, Garashi seriously thought about the matter of this time and space. From the first day I arrived to now, almost a month has passed. Although the time-flow ratio of 1 60 is not accurate and has been changing. The overall error is negligible. In other words, 5 years have passed in the original time and space. 5 years. If the original trajectory of development, it should be the Chunin exam period now. But in fact, in the central area of the Alliance, in the original Forest of Death, in front of the central tower, a red banner was hung high. The banner said, "The Alliance's first Jonin qualification exam site." Below, the crowd was crowded, and there was an endless stream of horses and carriages. All kinds of noises and discussions were incessant. As the first high-level exam after the establishment of the Alliance, from the preparation to the registration to the exam, it can be said that it has received a lot of attention. I didn't expect that Jonin would be reduced to the same level as Chunin, needing to pass the exam to be promoted. That's because there were too few Chunin who were qualified to be promoted to Jonin in the past. But now it's different. Our ninja alliance is the entire ninja world, and the number of Chunin is dozens of times more than a single ninja village. Not to mention, under the wise leadership of the great leader, excellent ninjas are constantly emerging, and today's Chunin is almost the same as the genin of the past. Haha, it's a good thing that I made it in time. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to compete with those little monsters. To us, this is an extremely difficult trial, but to some people, this is an opportunity for them to show off. I heard that a lot of people are deliberately waiting to be promoted to Jonin so that they can amaze everyone in this exam. Sai, who asked those little rascals to be in such a good era? Not only are there plenty of teaching resources, but they also have the dream world as a learning tool. Even the teachers are incredibly strong. Apart from the Jonin and Kage from the various ninja villages, I've heard that even the great leader occasionally gives them pointers. I can't compare. I also heard that some people want to set another level above Jonin. Super Ninja? Special Endurance? Shadow Ninja? Who cares? It has nothing to do with me anyway. Having said that, the battle between Chunin and Jonin is already very dangerous. If many people in this exam are already at the level of Jonin, wouldn't it be very dangerous? Many people might die? If it's a one-on-one battle, it's possible to stop it in time. But with so many people taking the exam together, the referee team won't be able to stop it, right? No, I heard that the actual combat part of this exam will be carried out in the dream world to avoid such a tragedy. Actual combat part? Are there other parts? Yes. There's also the ideological and cultural part. Otherwise, why is it called the qualification exam? The great leader said that the physical and mental health and moral culture of the ninja must be strictly controlled. There must be no abuse of power, betrayal of the alliance, and other vicious incidents. Fortunately, I'm already a Jonin. Don't think that you can muddle through. The qualification certificate is checked every 5 years. Although you don't have to take the exam again if you don't pass the continuing education, you still have to take the exam. No. In this crowded crowd, 3 people stood in the corner with dignified expressions. Niji said in a deep voice. I didn't hear about the cultural exam at the beginning. Naruto's small face was full of melancholy. How's your cultural score? Sasuke stood proudly. Ridiculous, with my strength at least I passed. Naruto asked again. Niji, what about you? Niji put his hands behind his back. My level is at least above passing. Naruto pulled his hair and wailed. Damn, why are you all so strong? At this time, a whisper came from the side. I heard that the cultural exam is divided into 2 parts. First, the team's total score must be in the top 100. Second, the team members must be above the passing line. Hiss. Then a lot of people will be eliminated in the first round. 2 sharp eyes suddenly focused on Naruto. Naruto was still unaware at this moment and was tangled there. Bastard. Are the 3 heroes of the school going to be wiped out in the first round? Thinking of this, Naruto's consciousness entered the sealed space and shouted at Kyuubi. Kurama, help me cheat. Kurama crossed his 2 front paws and said lazily. Idiot. I'm just a fox. You expect a fox to help you take the exam? Damn. Sure enough, it's still not enough? Naruto left the sealed space in frustration and then heard his teammates discussing openly. Is it too late to change teammates now? Find Sakura, she has good grades. Indeed, our team's attack is already enough. Adding a healer is also in line with the need. Naruto thought seriously. Changing teammates sounds? Wait, why are you both looking at me? Sasuke crossed his arms. Isn't it obvious who needs to be replaced? Niji said coldly. Why don't you wait for next year's exam? The competition next year will be smaller. How dare you say such excessive words? Naruto said discontentedly. Suddenly, a notification came from the broadcast. All candidates please enter the examination room in an orderly manner. Hearing this, Naruto walked to the examination room with joy. Ah, you don't have time to change, do you? Sasuke followed him speechlessly and whispered. Idiot, if we wanted to change we would have done it already. Neji sighed. It seems that we can prepare for World War II in advance. Seeing the three enter the examination room, one of the two who was secretly observing from a distance couldn't help but complain. That guy who looks silly is my father when he was young? I feel like something is wrong. The middle-aged Sasuke on the side looked silently and said after a while. This isn't the past but the past of a parallel universe. Chapter 528. Entering the examination room he found his seat and sat down. While Naruto was still thinking about whether to cheat or not, he heard the examiner on the stage say, I know some of you want to cheat but I advise you to give up on that idea. This exam is different from the previous exams that test the ability to collect information. The leader values the quality of ninja very much. This exam not only has 100 jonin patrolling the exam, but each classroom is also equipped with omnidirectional surveillance equipment. If you can cheat successfully in this situation, I will admire you. Last but not least, candidates who are caught cheating can't apply for the exam again for 5 years. That's all I have to say. Think about it carefully. When the voice fell, many people suddenly frowned. Naruto directly lay on the table and began to think about how to deal with Sasuke and Neji after the exam. The exam bell rang but the examiner didn't distribute the exam papers. Instead, he gave each person a wooden board. The examiner explained while demonstrating. This is the latest tablet developed by the Alliance. You can answer the questions on it. There is a confirmation column behind each question. Grannies cross the road every day should at least you can check the answer immediately to let you know where you went wrong. What will you do if you encounter danger that is beyond your ability? Should wait until all the questions are answered before checking the answer to the leader. Naruto's negativity only lasted for a few seconds, so he chased after them directly. He quickly picked up the tablet and fiddled with it. Follow them carefully. I'm a man who wants to become a jonin. How can I be scared by a mere exam? Naruto rubbed his chin and thought to himself. After starting to answer, I'm emotionally inclined to choose surprise and joy, but reason tells me that it doesn't seem that difficult. I should choose C. It's not that these questions are really easy. Wasn't there an exam rule that said not as difficult if you don't know how to do it at the beginning? C. After answering a few questions, the answer must be C. Naruto's confidence greatly increased, and he thought decisively confirmed. It turns out that my knowledge is so profound. The answer was A. Watch me beat Sasuke and the others. It must be the wrong Looking answer. At the smiling candidates Naruto below, angrily opened the analysis. Morinai Ibihai, most powerful ninjas have strong anti-tracking methods. In addition to the academics, with your life. There are many Chunin from the ninja village. Of course, that this is not the cultural exam is more important than anything. At least 80% of the questions are free marks. What will you do if the mission target is a hostage? And those who are really top students won't suffer. Kill the hostage directly and capture the bandit and let them go further in the second part. The cultural score in the preliminary examination was 60 points. If the mission is important, while the ideological and moral score was 40 points. Temporarily retreat. For most people, the ideological and moral score was rescuing the hostage and report to the leader in a timely manner to organize a rescue plan. If one did not even have the most basic yourself as a hostage and wait for an opportunity to kill the bandit. After completing the cultural part of the exam, Naruto hesitated again. Naruto confidently turned to the answer area of the second part. If the two wrong answers are A and B, thoughts and morals. I'm emotionally inclined to choose C. But the question maker doesn't seem to follow the routine. Should I choose D? Naruto closed his eyes and checked the confirmation box. Then a bright red X appeared in front of his eyes. The answer was C. Naruto seemed to be wearing a painful mask. It's C. I've already ruled out 2 wrong answers. I was going to choose C, but why did I choose D in the end? Depressed, Naruto opened the analysis. Any normal bandit with a normal IQ wouldn't agree. Instead, it would alert the enemy. Naruto's mouth twitched. Was he being ridiculed? Along the way, Naruto was painfully wandering in the sea of questions. Finally, until the last question. Looking at the bright red 59, in the column of the total score, Naruto's fingers trembled. Why was it stuck at this number that was neither too high nor too low? 1 step to heaven, 1 step to hell. Naruto held his breath and looked at the last question seriously. Question 40. If an extremely powerful person or even someone who surpasses everyone, comes to this world and proposes that as long as you kill all your compatriots in your ninja village, you can bring peace to the ninja world. What will you do? Go beyond narrow nationalism and sacrifice some people in exchange for peace. B. Rather die than submit. Peace is not begged for, it is fought for. C. Pretend to surrender and secretly accumulate strength. D. Commit suicide and leave the choice to others? Naruto looked at this question in confusion, and his palms were sweating. The trickiest part of this question is that the enemy surpasses everyone, which means that resistance may be meaningless, and it's just a futile sacrifice. As for C, ordinary people may pretend to surrender, but they're ninjas. Once they surrender, it means they become the enemy's executioner. Moreover, just like the anti-tracking method of the first question, such a powerful enemy can't see through his disguise. In this world where great power belongs to oneself, the so-called fake surrender is just a means to hypnotize oneself. Is it A or B? This question didn't last long in Naruto's heart. Recalling the scene of the establishment of the alliance when he was a child, he already had the answer in his heart. Peace is fought for by the senpai. I choose B. Naruto decisively ticked the OK button. Then a bright tick on the screen came into view. At this moment, Naruto surprisingly didn't have much excitement, as if he had experienced a spiritual baptism. Sure enough, I've grown a lot. After completing a transformation, I'm already different from who I was 2 hours ago. Naruto muttered to himself, but when he saw the word pass written all over the screen, he instantly lost his composure and roared like a baboon. Hey, I passed. Chapter 529. Just as Naruto was ecstatic, Ibixi glared at him. Make more noise and I'll deduct 10 points from your exam. Naruto shrank his neck in fear and whispered, how can there be a point in this exam? The corner of Ibishi's mouth twitched. Cough. That's the screen. Naruto didn't dare to speak anymore, but he was still happy. Now that he's passed the most difficult first level, he's equivalent to a Jonin. As for the total score, he can't pass the first level? He can only blame Sasuke Neji for not helping him. Anyway, he's only responsible for passing. At the same time, Sasuke, who was hiding in the dark, had a complicated mood. Perhaps others saw struggle and sacrifice from the last question, but he saw the fate of Uchiha. Itachi may have experienced a similar struggle in the past, but in the end, he chose to sacrifice his compatriots. If he was the one who had the ability to make the choice, would Uchiha's fate be different? Just as Sasuke's thoughts were diverging, Boruto laughed mercilessly. Hey, it turns out that Dad has such a bad time. He's so happy just because he passed the exam. Hearing Grandpa Boruto's words, Sasuke was a little helpless. He originally wanted Boruto to see Naruto's tragic childhood and experience the spirit of hard work. But transmigrating to the past of a parallel world completely messed up his plans. Sasuke shook his head slightly, abandoning these messy thoughts, and said sternly, it's because Naruto is so eager to pass the exam, but he still relies on his own efforts, which shows how precious his persistence is. Now you should understand why Naruto is so angry with you for cheating in the Chunin exam, right? Grandpa Boruto curled his lips. Okay, I'm wrong. After that, Grandpa Boruto quickly changed the topic. By the way, Uncle, what's the parallel world you mentioned before? Sasuke's eyes were full of memories. You should have learned about the Fourth Shinobi World War from the textbooks, right? Grandpa Boruto nodded vigorously, still a little angry. It's the story of you and my dad teamed up to save the world, but in the end, one became a hero and the other became a sinner. The middle-aged Sasuke felt something was wrong. Are you defending me? Grandpa Bo was filled with righteous indignation. I heard that the person father really likes is Auntie Xiaoying. It's because Uncle married Auntie Xiaoying that he was ostracized by the unwilling father. Hearing this, the middle-aged Sasuke was speechless. How deep do you misunderstand Naruto? Forget it, you just need to know that I'm willing to atone for my sins. Let's talk about World War IV. In fact, the core of that war wasn't me or Naruto, nor was it the 5 Kages at that time or even anyone you know. Grandpa Bo's curiosity was piqued and he asked, then who is it? Middle-aged Sasuke recalled and said, it's a space-time traveler who doesn't want to leave his traces. Time traveler? Borin pondered over the meaning of his words, and then his eyes lit up. Uncle, are you saying that he's from this parallel universe? Middle-aged Sasuke nodded. If I'm not wrong, the great leader they're talking about is the Garashi-sama in my memory. Grandpa Bo opened his mouth wide. I thought they were all flatterers, but now it seems that he's really great. Middle-aged Sasuke said, with Garashi-sama's indifferent character, his greatness might be the result of reducing countless layers of halo. Grandpa Bo's heart was itching. I really want to know the history of this universe. There will be a chance. Middle-aged Sasuke's expression was solemn. The key now is the Otsutsuki Makura style. Grandpa Bo was a little nervous. That guy also chased after us? Middle-aged Sasuke said, although I'm not sure if he's in the same universe as us, it'll be more troublesome if we're separated. Once he gets the Kyuubi in Naruto's body from somewhere else, we won't be able to stop him. Grandpa Bo nodded worriedly. If he traveled to the end of World War IV, when the war was at its fiercest, and you had less than 10 years of cultivation at that time, it would be very dangerous. Middle-aged Sasuke's expression was strange. Strength, regressed, to the end of World War IV? Is there such a good thing? Grandpa Bo was at a loss. Middle-aged Sasuke shook his head. In short, no matter which universe he traveled to, the only thing we can do now is to protect Naruto in this universe. It feels so good to peep at my dad when he was a child. When I collect some black materials, let's see if he dares to bully me in the future. Grandpa Bo thought happily in his heart and asked, by the way, Uncle, should we contact the officials of this universe? Middle-aged Sasuke hesitated for a moment and slowly shook his head. Garashi-sama deliberately concealed his achievements in order not to interfere with the operation of our universe. We shouldn't disturb them. After we find the Otsutsuki Makura style, we'll go back to our world and solve it. Grandpa Bo nodded thoughtfully and thought in his heart. That's right. Except for my dad and Uncle Gaara, the strength of the 5 Kages is actually just SOSO. Their strength is not as good as mine. Telling them will only get in the way. Uncle and I will secretly protect Naruto. Just as the two were secretly observing Naruto, a gaze fell behind them from the void. Garashi narrowed his eyes slightly. Otsutsuki Makura style? Could it be one of the Otsutsuki trio in my previous life? But from their tone, this Otsutsuki seems to be a bit weak. He can't even catch Sasuke, who has regressed in strength. And because he can't catch Naruto in the future, he plans to travel through time and space and attack Naruto when he was a child. Thinking of this, Garashi was a bit tempted. Such a weak and pure-blooded Otsutsuki, it's a pity not to catch him and study him. However, he finally calmed down. A lion will use all its strength to catch a rabbit. Let's wait for my Aizen clone to return, then combine the power of the two and capture him with absolute strength. At the same time, Otsutsuki Makura, who traveled to the end of the Fourth World War in the parallel world, looked at the fight in front of him with a pale face. He felt danger from their battle. If he rashly participated in the battle, he might die. For someone who claims to be a man of heaven, this is undoubtedly a great humiliation. Damn it, why are these inferior humans so strong? Also, why are the two people from more than 10 years ago so much stronger than 10 years later? Could it be that after the end of the war they only cared about pleasure, so their strength dropped greatly? Although he felt humiliated, it also strengthened his confidence to collect the Bijou chakra. Their strength can make me feel threatened, mainly because of the power of the Jubi. As long as I can absorb the complete Jubi, defeating these bastards will be easy. Just you wait, I'll go upstream and find you. Chapter 530. After the exam, Naruto and the other two met outside. Naruto asked triumphantly, "How did you two do?" Neji and Sasuke glanced at each other, and their eyes collided fiercely. "You first," the two said in unison. "Then let's talk together." "Okay." 64. 65. Neji shouted in annoyance, "Damn, I missed by 1 point. Sasuke raised his chin proudly. "This 1 point is an insurmountable gap." Naruto sighed at this time. "That's it?" Sasuke frowned and asked, "Then how much did you get?" Although they were in the same exam room and heard Naruto's voice, they didn't know his specific score. Naruto smiled. "The king of the passing line, 60. Neji couldn't help but complain, "What's there to be proud of?" "I'm not proud of it. I just feel that this exam is too dangerous. The total score is only 189. It doesn't feel good." Sasuke smiled indifferently. "Even I only got 65 points, indicating that this exam is difficult overall. 189 is already a high score." "Really?" Naruto was stunned and suddenly greeted in the distance, "Hinata, Sakura, how did you do?" The three girls came over and Sakura said with a sad face, "Not so good, I failed the exam." Tien sighed, "Yeah. The exam was too difficult." Hinata was so nervous that she almost cried, "I'm sorry, I dragged everyone down." Sakura comforted her, "It's okay, we'll come back next year." "Sakura, even you failed the exam. It seems that this time is really difficult." Naruto breathed a sigh of relief and then said proudly, "There's nothing I can do about it. I'll work harder next time." At this moment, a voice came from the broadcast. The following teams, please prepare for the second exam. First place, Haruno Sakura Hyuga Hinata Team Tien with a total score of 260. Hard. Naruto felt that his fist was hard. Naruto asked with a sullen face, "You call this a failure?" Sakura sighed, "Isn't 93 a failure?" Tien sighed, "I'm only 87, not even 90. Hinata tearfully asked, "Naruto-kun, how many points did you get? Naruto-kun must have done better than me, right?" Murder, 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 murder. Naruto roared in his heart. Why didn't he see that Hinata was so black-bellied before? Sakura was also curious. "Sasuke, how much did you score?" Sasuke forced a smile. Listen to the announcement. Don't miss it." Xiaoying nodded. "Okay, I'll listen to it for you." Sasuke was upset. Was this woman trying to mock him in front of his face? Too vicious. As the announcement went on, there were bursts of cheers in the examination room from time to time. Naruto and the other two became more and more nervous. Their palms were sweating. Finally, the broadcast announced, 91st place, Dead Ale, Black Earth, Red Earth Team, total score 190. Naruto and the other two's faces relaxed. They were next. It was a sure win. However, all the way to the 96th team. Tied for 91st place, Gaara, Tamari, and Kankuro with a total score of 190. The three of them were so depressed that they were about to vomit blood. How could there be so many equals? Fortunately, it was their turn to be the next. 97th place, Uzumaki Naruto, Uchiha Sasuke, and Hyuga Neji with a total score of 189. Oh! The three boys shouted excitedly. "We passed." Sakura Hinata clapped her hands and said dryly, "Good, that's amazing. It's really rare." The laughter of the three suddenly faded. Damn, this bad woman actually mocked them. Fortunately, the voice of the examiner came from the broadcast. "The second exam will begin in 10 minutes. Please enter the dream world in advance." Naruto looked at Hinata and said, "I didn't do well in the first exam. Just wait and see. The second exam will be my time to shine." In the distance, Grandpa Bo looked worried. "Won't the parents of this world be together? Will I still be there?" Middle-aged Sasuke wasn't worried. His attitude towards Sakura when he was a child was much worse than little Sasuke of this time and space. Bo sighed and asked, "Uncle, what is the dream world they're talking about?" Middle-aged Sasuke said, "It seems to be a genjutsu space." Bo smacked his lips. "Then we won't be able to see the next exam?" Middle-aged Sasuke was about to speak when he saw a picture projected on the large square in front of the central tower. It was the picture of the candidates ready to go in the genjutsu space. They projected the picture. Middle-aged Sasuke was a little surprised. Seeing the crowd around him moving towards the square, he also followed with Bo walking to the square. Looking up at the picture, he felt even more immersive. Everyone in the picture was rubbing their hands together in high spirits. Middle-aged Sasuke looked at it with emotion. Even if only half of these 100 teams met the requirements, it was still 150 jonins. Not to mention, among the teams that were eliminated because of culture and morality, there were many who reached the level of jonin. How many jonins were there in their world? Compared with this time and space, the gap was too big. The examiner's voice was played simultaneously in the dream world and the outside world. The second level will be a dungeon mode. The teams ranked in the top 30 will enter the next round. Note that the dungeon points are not only obtained by dealing damage to the enemy. Healing, defense, buff, control, and so on can also be obtained. The final interpretation of the points obtained will belong to the leader. Finally, this is the enemy you have to try to defeat in the dungeon. Uchiha Madara. The picture changed and it turned to Uchiha Madara with his arms crossed, looking down on the world. Middle-aged Sasuke looked at it and said, This is the real Uchiha Madara." As a man who fought against Uchiha Madara, he still had the right to speak in this regard. The Uchiha Madara in the picture was definitely not a simple genjutsu construct. That look in his eyes was definitely him. Bo exclaimed, "He's Uchiha Madara." At this time the old man on the side cast a look of disgust. "It's only been 5 years and you've already forgotten the painful lessons brought by the war?" With that said, he sighed and shook his head. Young people nowadays are always forgetting history, but they don't know that forgetting history means betrayal. Middle-aged Sasuke interrupted. "I'm sorry, old man, we fled into the mountains to avoid the war 5 years ago. We just came out recently. What's the matter with Uchiha Madara? He doesn't seem to be a genjutsu." "So that's the case." The old man's face looked a little better, and then he put on a serious expression. "Of course he's not a genjutsu, but the soul of Uchiha Madara. After the great leader defeated him, in order to let him atone for his sins, and to prevent the ambitious people from summoning his soul, he sealed his soul in the dream world. Chapter 531. Grandpa Bo was shocked. Isn't that dream world an illusion? How can it seal souls? The old man said with a smile, how can ordinary people like us imagine the means of the leader? The middle-aged Sasuke took a deep breath. He actually treated Madara as a puppet for training soldiers. How bold! Grandpa Bo exclaimed, I feel that this leader is much more powerful than Dad. The old man just laughed, comparing his father to the great leader. However, it's understandable for a child to think that his father is the best in the world. Grandpa Bo found another way to attack his father. He asked excitedly, Grandpa, can you tell me more about the war 5 years ago? It's best if it's about the leader. Haha, you can't avoid it even if you don't want to. The old man's interest was piqued as well. I still remember one day 5 years ago when I was drinking at home, the sky suddenly turned dark. I looked up and guess what? Realizing that the old man seemed to be a chatterbox, Grandpa Bo suddenly regretted turning on the old man's switch. Without waiting for the old man to answer, the old man continued, 3 huge meteorites fell from the sky and I was scared. It's actually 3 meteorites. The middle-aged Sasuke was surprised. Uchiha Madara only summoned 2 meteorites to make the ninja allied forces run for their lives. The old man described vividly, at that time the village was in a panic and everyone thought it was the end of the world. Later they found out that it was Uchiha Madara who did it, but they didn't have time to think about it. They didn't even have the thought of running away, so they just waited for death there. Then, the great leader flew into the sky and kicked the meteorites the size of wood leaf away. Grandpa Bo exclaimed, Are you sure it was a kick, not a ninjutsu? The old man was unhappy. Don't be so surprised. With the leader's strength, what's so surprising about kicking a few meteorites away? After that, the leader combined Uchiha Madara and the first Naruto-sama. Combined? Just as the two were listening in amazement again and again. In the dream world, Uchiha Madara's face was a little dark. Normally he had to fight with the 5 shadows, but now he had to fight with a bunch of immature brats? He simply didn't want to be a puppet. Since you've made such a move, don't blame me for being reckless. Uchiha Madara's eyes were cold. I'm going to beat this group of kids, and they'll be scared when they hear about the battle. At this moment, the people who were still waiting were excited. The enemy is Uchiha Madara. Amazing. We can actually fight the great leader's former enemy. I'm burning. However, some of the Chunin who participated in the Shinobi World War poured cold water on them. You little brats, wake up. That's Uchiha Madara. He's the one who messed up the entire ninja world by himself. The top 30 teams will enter the next round, but in my opinion, there might not even be 30 teams that can obtain points. Most likely, more than half of them will die in the first round of attacks. In the crowd, Temari lowered her voice and asked, Gaara, what are we going to do? Gaara touched the words engraved on his forehead. Uchiha Madara has the strongest defense, and it's almost impossible to break his defense. That's why the examiner deliberately reminded us that we can get points for other actions besides causing damage. So we'll temporarily be auxiliary control. Kankuro sighed. It's a pity that we don't have a medical ninja. Otherwise, it would be much easier to heal our injured teammates. Gaara was speechless. Do you think Uncle Garashi can take advantage of this loophole? Didn't you hear what the examiner said? The final interpretation of points is in the hands of the leader. On the other side, Kuratsuchi's eyes widened. Brother, are you going to blow up Uchiha Madara? Deidara laughed. Isn't it exciting? Kuratsuchi was a little moved. A little. Kuratsuchi bitterly persuaded. If we're eliminated in the first round, Sachikage-sama will go crazy. Deidara waved his hand indifferently. Who cares about him? The Jonin exam can come again next year, but this may be the only chance to blow up Uchiha Madara. In the corner, Sasuke asked, Naruto, can you still use Hachi? Naruto sighed. Kurama really got a title. Niji nodded. I can only improve myself. Naruto asked. Sasuke, you should know a lot about Susanoo, right? Tell us how to break it. Sasuke proudly said. Unless you break it violently like Garashi-sama, Susanoo is invincible. That's troublesome. Naruto asked with a frown. Can you heal, defend, and control it? Sasuke coldly snorted. I can only attack. Niji hesitated for a moment. My revolving heaven can defend, but that's to protect myself. Getting points for defense should be a team contribution, and it has little to do with revolving heaven. There's no way. If we want to get points, we can only use that trick. Naruto waved his fist and shouted. Do you want to use that trick? Sasuke took a deep breath. That's the Trinity technique, Naruto's exclamation, which was listed as a forbidden move by your father. Neji covered his face. I always feel too ashamed. Are you sure it's not because you're too ashamed that it was listed as a forbidden move? Naruto waved his hand. I said those words in front of Hinata. Compared with that trick, losing to those girls is the real shame. At the same time, in the Dream World's audience, Reikage patted Inoki's shoulder and burst into laughter. Who cares about him? Haha, Tsuchikage, your disciple is too filial. Inoki's face was gloomy. Deidara at least dared to fight. What about your Yunin? Why don't I see your people talking? Reikage was a little upset. Yunin didn't have any powerful geniuses in recent years. Amoy and Karui were good, but compared with Deidara and Gaara the gap was obvious. Humph Loki. We Yunin ninjas are not as impetuous as you rock Cripsis. Then he quickly changed the topic. By the way, Naruto, Woodleaf, and the other little guy's tactics were named by you, right? Minato said with a smile. Haha, Reikage, you saw through it? Reikage complained. Naruto's exclamation, only you can think of such a shameful name. Minato didn't take it seriously and said with a smile. I did exclaim at that time. Empress Shomiai suddenly asked. Will the leader watch the exam? Minato replied. The leader will attend the finals. Raza's expression was dignified. It's been 5 years. Haven't the things over there been settled yet? After all, that's a strong enemy that can make the leader feel troubled. Minato shook his head slightly. In short, let's watch the competition first. That you're tuning in to the Han Lee's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.